Welcome.
Hello, hello. Welcome to another Insider live stream. Not on Wednesday, but on a Thursday.
We like it on Thursday, right?
Yeah, Thursdays are nice. It's 1 hour later than usual.
Yeah.
So I hope you all have your beer ready.
Alan?
AI.
I want to say challenge accepted.
Sorry,
Okay, so today we're going to talk about Z890.
I thought we were going to talk about AI.
No. We're not allowed to talk about AI. The challenge is not allowed. Don't talk about AI. Yeah, my name is Eric.
And I'm Mike.
And so different day, different time because of the NDA. Just expired. So officially, we don't know anything about the CPU.
Skeet says, I think the Carmen replaced the Ace. Skeet? Look.
No.
No, it didn't.
Yep.
More about it later. But yeah, cool new platform.
No, it didn't.
So not only new motherboard generation, but new socket, new CPU generation, new architecture, new everything. So we have a lot to talk about today.
Yep.
But before we start,
we have a giveaway.
Yeah, there. You can win a game code for Star Wars Outlaws. So make sure to go, well, usually I would say, go to msi.com/2/insider.
It's not working today.
Yeah, but I heard our page was broken.
Yeah.
So at least for the people watching on Twitch or YouTube, you can follow the direct link that our bot puts in the chat once every 5 minutes. You activated the bot, right?
No.
Then you should maybe activate it.
You didn't?
No, because you know what I was busy with. Okay, Eric will now activate the bot for you guys.
Come on!
So you will get the link once every 5 minutes in the chat. If you're not watching on YouTube or Twitch, so perhaps you're watching on X or on TikTok or whatever, then make sure to go to YouTube or Twitch to make sure you get the link, because usually you can go to our page, but at the moment that seems to be broken. So is our chatbot, but Eric is fixing that right now. But make sure to participate, because we will give away several Star Wars Outlaws game keys during the stream.
You did all the settings in the chatbot, right? I only have to enable it.
You only have to enable it. And then the chat can test it for us to see if it works.
Did you do the next week's thing?
Yeah, I also did the next week thing.
I'm going to...
Just needs to be unmuted.
Next week.
Yeah, so you only have to sign up once. We'll do several drawings throughout the stream. If you signed up in the beginning, you don't have to do it again for the next drawings. I already see a lot of questions. Before I'm going to answer those, we will go through. First, we'll go a bit through what Intel announced today. So we just downloaded also their press deck, so we will go through it together with you guys. Talk a little bit about this new architecture, about their new processor series. About what Intel claims should be the performance of the new processors.
Vechtom is helping, but next week not working.
And after that, we will go through our motherboard lineup. We have a couple of boards in front of us. There will be more boards in the future. So we will have a separate live stream later on where we will also show you the performance of these new processors. And then we will also talk about two very special boards.
Twitch
but
is
we will
working.
cover a lot of them today. Yeah, it's working?
Twitch is working.
Okay. Then make sure to sign up for the giveaway if it works. I'm going to move this quickly because it's so full of
Yeah, so
stuff
please also let me know if you finished the first level of Star Wars Outlaws, because I'm still stuck.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Was it so difficult? By the way, why do you have the cleaning thingy? I thought it was for protection purposes. If you touch these shiny new motherboards, so they don't break immediately.
The
perhaps?
bot is in your chat. Bart, join.
Yeah, is the bot active now?
Should be.
Quarky asks, do you have any Intel on Intel? That's a good question.
That's a good question. We have.
Yeah, we have.
We're going to talk about all the Intel stuff.
Yeah. Does it work now?
No, I will ask Peter.
Did you break it?
I don't know.
But it can take up to 5 minutes, right? Because it's like an interval thingy.
No, the next week not.
Oh, the next week not. But does the link work? The giveaway link?
It should work, right? Yeah.
It should.
Yeah. I'm in.
Okay, maybe paste a link in the chat. Then.
Oh yeah, you're a smart guy.
Then at least people can sign up. Because people are very interested in Star Wars Outlaws and not in all these shiny new motherboards.
Yeah, indeed. Then we just get going. But I don't have the chat here.
You don't have the chat here.
No, one moment. So much. Oh, what I click on.
Eventually we'll have a working giveaway.
That's the link. Okay. So let's get started.
Let's start at the start, and that's the Intel launch, of course. Their new
we
CPU.
of course we already know a long time about this CPU, so we also know a lot of information, and we didn't have time to check what Intel announced.
Yeah.
So together with you, we're just going to walk through the press deck so that we don't talk too much.
Yeah, that we try not to say too much.
And we keep the to the facts which are in the press deck. But pretty interesting. Let me see. This one. Yeah. Okay, well, they launched a new Core Ultra processor.
So that at least we can say. That's nice to know finally.
Yeah,
be able to say.
indeed. And I saw some more, here it's already 200S series. And the S actually comes from the code name, which is called Arrow Lake-S.
Yeah. And that's specifically the desktop CPU.
This is the desktop
new
CPU.
200 series.
Yeah, indeed.
As you may already know the name from, for example, notebooks. There we already had the name. But that was, of course, not the S edition, so not the...
At this moment, Intel, of course, only released information. Benchmarks will be for a later date. We don't know if they announce it. Maybe we will see later. But yeah, we will do in the future also another live stream with more boards. We will have Godlike, we will have mini-itx.
Maybe later on we find out the date where we do that live stream.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll just keep that quiet.
Okay, so the program goals for Arrow Lake, I'm just going to skip, it should be logical. More performance, better performance for what, which, oh, sorry, my keys are going to, what the hell? Okay.
Sticky keys? Did you spill any Coke over your keyboard?
And that is, of course, what Intel also claims they achieved. I like this kind of slide because this basically sums up a lot of things. First of all, the E-cores, they replaced it with a new generation E-cores, and they should be, and I'm saying should be because officially we didn't test it ourselves, so we have to rely on the Intel data, but it should be 30% faster versus the Grace mount cores. And for the P cores, which are the performance cores, they should be 9% faster. So overall, should be a more fast system.
Quarky says, Mike can do a ghost hand next to Eric. I enjoy that. Okay, here's the ghost.
You do it.
So it works, the ghost hand.
Yeah.
Back to the CPU.
Yeah, back to the CPU. A lot of AI stuff, as you can see on this page.
These are always a bit tricky though, because we see certain information also about...
Did I say AI?
No, you did. But you see, for example, cache sizes, and you see slight differences. A lot is kind of similar, but there are also slight differences in the L2 cache, for example. But this is always also very dependent on architecture. And this is a completely new architecture. It's not like, for example, 12th generation to 13th generation. So Alder Lake to Raptor Lake was basically building upon the same architecture. And of course, even more so with Raptor Lake
and then
refresh.
In that case, adding more cache will, of course, benefit performance.
Exactly, because it's the same architecture. And that's what we saw with the 12th, 13th, and 14th generation. But now we're basically, well, not back to square one, but it's a completely new architecture. And it also means that certain things just work differently. Yeah. So you cannot compare these things one by one.
And you can see that here on the right side at the bottom already, wider branch prediction or wider prediction, wider scheduling. That basically means it has a wider bus to do more actions at the same time. So basically it should be faster. Mm-hmm. So this is the L3 cache. Basically it all stayed the same, only the, what was it?
L2 cache.
The L2 cache, yeah. The L2 cache increased from 2 megabyte per core to 3 megabyte per core. You also see that on the right side. So they have the L2 cache, how do you say that? The central L2 cache for the P cores. And on the top right side you see...
Yeah, and the 3 megabyte per core is for the P cores.
Yeah.
So the E cores have it per cluster. So you have 4 megabytes of cache per cluster of 4 E cores.
Yeah.
So that works a bit differently, whereas each P core has its own cache.
Okay.
Another thing, P cores, no more hyperthreading.
It didn't say so.
It didn't.
What if Intel doesn't announce this?
No, it doesn't say it has hyperthreading.
Okay. Watch out with what you're saying. Okay, so the integrated GPU, normally we don't care too much in this segment because today they only released the K SKUs.
Oh wait,
so
Intel is calling.
So they only released the overclocking SKUs, so there we normally have a discrete GPU with it. But as you can see, they improved their architecture again. Already talking about tops. Not too much new here. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so they're talking about 36 tops total. And tops, of course, this is a buzzword you will hear a lot for AI. We're moving to the generation of the AI
so no
PCs.
AI, but we're going to talk tops.
Well, yeah, I mean, well, tops is also how, for example, Microsoft defines how you can use Copilot or Copilot Plus. Everything 40 tops above is Copilot Plus. And everything below that, and that's for the NPU. So this one has an NPU with 13 tops, as you can see right here, which means you cannot run Copilot Plus on this CPU/NPU. Yeah, and they're also promoting, of course, their discrete graphics. Let me see. Okay, so tile-based CPU. I think this is already a case for the mobile CPU. So you see this more and more. So the GPU tile is separately. The SoC, the CPU, I think the.
What are you searching
The NPU is integrated, I think, in the CPU tile.
Oh, that's a good question.
No, I think
Orange.
so. I think
Not
so.
in the GPU tile.
And this is all packed together by an Intel technology called Foveros.
Yeah, is that correct pronunciation?
No, I don't know. It's English. Anyway,
Also not sure.
that's a 3D packing,
Yeah.
so you will see this much more going into the future. They're already using this longer on the Xeon cores.
Skeet says, look at Ryzen style CPU. Not really. Ryzen is different because Ryzen basically has like separate CCDs for cores as well. Intel doesn't work like that. So basically what Ryzen does is you have on Ryzen 9s, for example, you have two CCDs and you have one I/O die. So that's a chiplet design, and that works a little bit different than the design that you see here.
Everybody has their own approach. So here you have an overview of the SKUs they are releasing. So they start at the top with Ultra 9, so it's not called Core.
i9?
Yeah, indeed, Core i9. It's called Core Ultra
It's
9.
end of an era. For how long did we have?
It's still Core.
Yeah, but the I. So how long
Yeah.
did we have I? That's a long time.
Long time.
Phew. What year was that?
Z80. Is that 77 already?
No, I think the first one was X58. I think first core series. That was still
Long-
high-end desktop platform. Quite
Yeah,
a
a
memory.
long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
So
NRT says since 2010 question mark. Yeah, it could be something like that. Should be somewhere there. 2009, 2010.
So this overview shows all the different CPUs. So basically they have the Ultra 9, Ultra 7 and the Ultra 5. And for the 7 and the 5
So
they have,
basically like Core i9, Core i7, Core i5.
And basically they have two SKUs for the 7 and the 5 with integrated graphics and without. The F stands for without.
So that's still, like in terms of naming, the same as what we know from the previous generation.
Indeed, and K also unlocked for overclocking. So if you look at the CPU cores, also not that much different configuration-wise. 8P cores plus 16E cores. However, the cores itself are totally changed. The architecture is totally changed.
Silent Shadow is asking, so what CPUs are able to run Copilot Plus? From these desktop models, none.
No, at this moment, basically only one Intel CPU, which is Lunar Lake.
Yeah.
That has a 40 TOPS NPU.
So that's what was launched by Intel last month, actually.
During Gamescom. On Gamescom.
No, IFA.
Of IFA, sorry, yes, you're right, yeah. And,
So that's basically indeed a mobile
I think
platform?
Qualcomm
Has one for sure.
Yeah, how is it called? The
Snapdragon X, I think?
Snapdragon X, yeah. Also what their desktop, mobile, something platform. And at this moment, nothing else. And
No.
yeah, we can go.
For now, but that will of course change in the near future.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so you see the GPU cores are disabled when there is an F in the name. Everything has 13 TOPS and the clock speeds, of course, differ. Okay, let's move on. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, power consumption. This was one of the targets you saw in the beginning. So with the new architecture, they lower down the power consumption. And again, these are Intel slides. So of course, you can assume that Intel, I would do that. The best case
Best case scenario.
Yeah, best case scenario indeed. So let's wait until.
So maybe don't expect these percentages,
No,
but expect better efficiency with this new generation.
Yeah, indeed. But they made a huge step. I asked Ruud, and he said they made a huge step. That's not talking about benchmarks, right?
If you don't mention a percentage, then no.
No.
Because Intel claims they made a huge step, so it should be
indeed,
safe, right?
Indeed.
Oh, I have Intel on the phone again.
Well, we already talked about the cores. So this is single core performance in these benchmarks, and you see they compare everything to the baseline performance of the 4900K. That's the white line.
Basically 100%, and then you get the percentage.
So these CPUs perform 5 to 11% faster, and it really depends on what kind of application you're using. And this is all, of course, the content creator applications. It's not gaming. Probably we will see gaming later on as well.
And specifically single core in this slide.
Yeah, this is all single core, and so they claim on average 8% faster versus the prior generation, which is 4900K, and 4% faster versus the competition, which is the 9950X, which just launched as well. This is multi-core.
And again, especially against the competition slides, it's always
let's wait until independent benchmarks. So
I would suggest here to look at the comparison they make to their own 14th generation.
Yeah,
it's probably the most realistic one, I would say.
Here they talk about multi-core performance. So you see Cinebench, you see 3D Mark, spec rate. So they talk about 50% faster versus prior generation. I think that's a huge step, and 13 versus the competitor. Basically, it means they were behind, which is also true.
Yeah, so it always depends a bit on the exact situation.
We're now talking about multi, like Cinebench, etc.
But also in multi-threaded, still architectural differences also make that a certain CPU can be faster in one thing and the other in the other. So it's always
so basically, this slide is claiming that they have the same level of performance for half of the power consumption. So from 250 watt, what normally the 4900K would use for certain to achieve certain benchmark result, the new 285K can do that with 125 watt. So that's a huge step, if it's true.
We can test that out later.
Not today.
Not today.
Not
later.
today. Yeah.
In a future live stream, we can test that out.
Let me see. Yeah, so talk about energy efficiency, elite gaming experience. Okay, gaming, that's interesting. One giant leap in gaming performance per watt. So they're focusing on performance per watt. That doesn't mean that the performance increased. It can also mean that only the power decreased a lot. So you see here,
per watt is always like an efficiency measurement, basically.
So here you see par, which basically means ampere, and here it says ampere is minus or plus 3%. So
have you been playing golf?
No.
They have par.
I know, we played golf in the past.
Were you any good? That's a no.
Okay, I'm not a golfer. You need to be patient.
And you need to be somewhat quiet.
and on my level, you don't get the race car. You need to walk. Now, I did it several times in Taiwan. It's really nice, but the sun is burning, and when you do, what is it, 18 holes or something?
By the way, have you been chewing on my sample? I just quickly watched one of the connectors.
Which,
have you touched this?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Oh yeah, funny story. We got these samples from Taiwan, and then when you open up, finally you find a sticker saying, Eric, what was it?
I think I still have
you have it. Oh, you have it here.
Maybe you can switch to the close-up then. So our colleagues from Taiwan actually put this sticker on one of the samples. I'm not sure if you can read it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if that's like information or a warning, like don't touch it.
Yeah. Because then it won't work anymore.
And Mike is requesting these samples, so I don't know why.
But that one was on this sample, and now I checked the connector, and it looks like Eric has already been touching it.
No.
Look, this is a sign of Eric touching a motherboard.
We're here. We're going back. Okay. So basically, on the left side, you see that Intel is performing less. This performs for what? Yeah, less than the 4900K. And on the right side, you see they overperform, and you see that they claim that on some benchmarks, some games like Warhammer, Space Marines 2, the power usage for the same performance is going down 165 watt, which is a lot.
But that's an extreme example because in most situations you won't even use that amount of power during game.
Indeed.
At least on the CPU side.
No, depends also if the game is CPU intensive or not, etc.
And also depends very much on your settings.
Yeah.
The higher settings.
It seems we have a live demo, but I didn't download it. Anyway, what is this saying? Okay, so
it's also about efficiency. So with similar performance, they claim that.
So this is total system power. On the 4900K, they have about 264 FPS.
So total system power is with all our components as well. This is not specifically
with the GPU.
GPU as well.
527 watts. And then with the new generation, the Core Ultra 9 285K, achieving 261 FPS at 447 watts. Basically a decrease of 80 watts.
Skeets also says Space Marine 2 is a very CPU intensive game. 4K is my CPU at 47% usage. Yeah, so that's why it's a more extreme example. So you won't see those kind of numbers in every game, of course, because not every game will load up your CPU that much.
Let's wait until what the media says and what we can benchmark ourselves.
We can try some different configurations out when we do.
Basically here they have several games picked and they claim. I asked Michiel, because we already saw this slide before, I asked Michiel, do you know this game Geomean?
Very good game.
He said that's the average. Okay, so far my English skills. So on average 73% less power usage. I would say that's impressive.
But there also you see that for certain games it's a small difference, for other games it's a huge difference.
Yeah, and of course with less power usage you also see that, I mean, normally it goes hand in hand. Less power usage means less heat and means you can boost up higher.
Usually yes, but of course this is
new architecture,
new
so
architecture,
you need to,
so things are reset.
yeah, indeed. So here you see, I don't know what the average is, but I would say 12 to 13% on average the decrease in power of the CPU. Average cooler package temp, so the package of the CPU. Battle of the Titans. Okay, so they, well, let's skip this. I mean, I don't want to talk too much about AMD. Let's wait for the real benchmark results. So here basically they're saying we're doing better for both gaming and content creation. So let's wait and see. Power limits. Michiel, you have anything to add about this?
No, basically this hasn't changed that much.
No.
Except for that they tend to be a bit lower than what we saw in the previous generation.
I skipped the slide.
But yeah, you always have your short duration power limit and long duration power limit. So the PL1, PL2. But this is also something we will test, demonstrate.
It's quite funny. It looks to me that Intel is claiming that they have 5% less gaming performance versus the last generation.
Yeah.
The temperature is 15% lower. 15 degrees lower, sorry. And the total system power is 180 watt lower.
Yeah, this can be.
So basically they're saying, hey, it's not as fast as last generation, but we worked a lot on power consumption. Which was also something they needed to do. But that's how I see this slide.
Yeah, and indeed, because this can be a bit confusing, because we just saw some slides demonstrating, hey, it has better single core performance, better multi-core performance, but it doesn't always translate into gaming performance, because there are more variables there. That's something, for example, we also see with the AMD X3D CPUs. They do not have better single core or multi-core performance, but they do have better gaming performance than their normal counterparts because of the 3D V-cache, for example.
So Benjamin Schoenheim is asking on TikTok, when did the i9 come out? Well, they don't have an i9 anymore. It's called Ultra 9.
Yeah, Core Ultra 9.
Yeah, so the i is cancelled. Game.
By the way, that's a good point. Namrock says it's Ultra 7, not a 9. Can you go back one? Because that's a comparison between the Ultra 7 versus the Core i9.
Oh yeah, indeed. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Somebody is already awake. We are still sleeping. Yeah, very good point. Yeah.
And then, of course, it is still the question, how would the Core i9 fare against the...
Yeah.
I would have preferred them to compare the Ultra 7 to
that's,
the Core
it's
i7
a quite confusing slide, because you need to be awake and for the small detail.
Yeah,
And this makes a lot of difference.
I think what they wanted to say here is, hey, you can get almost same game performance with way lower power, and that's probably why they compared the Ultra 7 to the Core i9. But
Intel, next time, highlight a little bit more for me, please. Thank you. Okay.
and compare Ultra 7 to Core i7 and Ultra 9 to Core i9 would make more sense.
Their PowerPoint is with a 265, not with the 85. Powerhouse, content creation, so what is this? Okay, they're doing the same comparing to AMD, so we are going to skip this. Oh, AI. Mike, this is your department.
No, it's Alan's department. Alan wanted us to talk about AI on stream.
Yeah, basically they're saying AI is growing. Geekbench, I'm going to skip. They have a lot of different benchmarks. AI optimizations, Audacity.
Divina says, but halving power consumption is a major improvement, if not appealing to the power user. I think even for power users, that's definitely worth it. Because as Eric mentioned as well, when you produce more heat, usually there is less room to do tweaking, overclocking, boost further, all those kind of things. So I think it's always a welcome thing if efficiency decreases, also for power users.
So a few claims they're making here. Intel's first desktop AI PC. Well, that's correct indeed, because this is the first desktop CPU with an MPU inside. 50% faster Grader AI. They're comparing this with AMD again. AI assisted video editing. Read small numbers. 8 times faster timeline playback of Pro video codecs. They don't mention which one, so probably it's all in the small letters. Okay. Oh, chipset.
Now it gets interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. So chipset 800 series. Today they're only launching Z890, so the high-end chipset. As you can see here, basically it offers 48 PCI Express lanes. Don't be confused because you don't get them all. I mean, we need to split them up and then use them for several things. You see that on the right side. So we can configure them as 8 times SATA.
48 is in total, so that's CPU plus the chipset.
Yeah, indeed. We can configure this however you like. You see maybe each vendor and on maybe different mainboards see people making different decisions, like, oh, this one needs more SATA, this one needs probably more USB. That's a trend now. You want a lot of connectivity, and especially the faster USB ports. So 20 times PCI Express 5.0. That basically means you now in this platform you have a 16 lanes for your GPU, and you still have 4 lanes for a PCI Express 5 slot on M.2 for storage.
Yeah.
Anything else to add here, Mike? Oh, yeah. Fantastic platform I/O for LGA 1851. This also means Intel has a new socket. So it's
no
not
more LGA 1700.
Yeah. So this means you need a new mainboard in order to run a new CPU. You cannot run the new CPU on older platforms like Z890, and you cannot run the old CPUs on the new platform. We have a slide for that, right, somewhere?
Yeah, later on we'll have a slide for that.
Anyway, it's quite easy.
But this is different than this generation of AMD. So AMD launched the X870 motherboards, but they are still AM5, which is the same.
You say still AM5. It's AMD they split up DDR5, DDR4. So AM5 of AM4 with DDR4 and AM5 with DDR5. That's a split. And I think also, well, I should not think. I want to say something, but I cannot because maybe it's not in the presentation.
Then don't say it just
No.
But basically, that is indeed, it means that on AMD you can run new CPUs on old motherboard, vice versa. With Intel, that was also the case, for example, between 13th and 14th generation and 600 series, 700 series chipset. You could also do that. But this completely new platform, new socket, new CPU.
Yeah.
Not compatible
sorry.
with each other.
It seems my touchpad is very sensitive. Let's talk a little bit about Thunderbolt. So these boards also come with basically the chipset has integrated Thunderbolt 4. So of course there is an extra cost. So this doesn't mean you will see Thunderbolt 4 ports on all the boards. because of course we have to put the connectors there, probably some physical layer chip.
I think on all the boards that we have here today, we actually
Maybe today.
have them on all. Yep.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But do we have them on all boards?
I think on at least our first wave of Z890
Yeah, okay,
boards,
but
yes.
okay, but also the
Only Z890 is launched.
okay. No, I was talking about the other one, Dash. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think on our at least the first launch. That doesn't mean that for all future models that will be the case.
Yeah.
But especially all the models that we talk about today have it. All the models that we have here in front of us have it. So I also, for example, have a Pro board here. This is a somewhat more affordable model. Of course, it is still high-end chipset. So this is not an entry-level motherboard. Later, you will definitely see that. But here you can also see that this board also, for example, has 2 Thunderbolt ports right there.
More pins to bend.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they also, as you can see here, this is integrated. So it's integrated in the chipset. And here you have discrete, and discrete basically means an add-on card. They also are, I think Thunderbolt 5 was already launched.
Yeah.
But now you know that they're going to push it more into the market, which means there will be more mainboards having Thunderbolt 5. But also more devices in the market because there are more desktops which support it, or notebooks for that matter.
And this works also a little bit different than, for example, on AMD, where you have USB 4 that works via a specific chip on the board. So if you, for example, check our Gamescom live stream, we took our Carbon motherboard, AMD motherboard, apart, and there you actually see like a separate cooling part and a separate USB 4 chip. But as Eric mentioned here, the Thunderbolt 4 is integrated, so it's not like a separate chip that we add to the motherboard, like the S-Media chip that we
And not adding an extra chip to the mainboard means you don't need to cool it, it's less cost, and it doesn't take any space. So it has a use benefit.
It definitely has benefits.
Yeah. Okay, then we have, well, let's not talk too much about Thunderbolt share. Let's talk about Wi-Fi. So Intel is offering Wi-Fi 6E and Wi-Fi 7. I believe for all boards we went for Wi-Fi 7. Later we will talk more in detail. And this is Intel Killer Wi-Fi. You remember maybe from the past Killer LAN. We had it on several mainboards, not only Killer LAN, but also Killer Wi-Fi. We did some demos. Basically, this company was called, do you remember the company's name? Oh, no, different one. Rivet. Yeah, Rivet. I believe Rivet. Yeah, they were bought or purchased. How do you say that? Bought, I think. Merged.
Just acquired by Intel, basically.
Acquired, yeah. A big bag of money here, I will acquire you.
You're mine now, yeah.
You're mine, yeah. And they integrated this, so later we will talk also more in detail. Bluetooth 5.3 or 5.4. I mean, small differences, and we see a lot of times the Bluetooth will be upgraded by firmware. So if you, for example, if now the mainboard has Bluetooth 5.3, maybe in the future gets an upgrade to 5.4. And then Ethernet, 1 gig, 2.5 gig from Intel, but we also have 10 gigabit solutions. I don't think maybe this one today.
Yeah, we also have basically 5 gig on any of the models here. So
okay,
also a
5 gig
right here.
Oh, yeah.
Look, if we go to the close-up. So again, the most entry-level model we have here today, you will already find 5 gigabit LAN on this one. So it's not always that we stick to everything that you see on these slides. So where you see 1 gigabit, 2.5 gigabit here, we can still implement 5 gig LAN on it.
It seems they made a lot of changes to overclocking. So first of all, more fine-tuned core clock, 16.67 megahertz, and basically with that you can better fine-tune everything. I'm not going through all these details. Maybe we should invite TopPC one time to talk about all the overclocking.
Could be nice, huh?
But this is especially nice for overclockers because it's a new architecture. So old architectures, I mean, they already have for several years, so they know how to tune it, they know the limitations, they know how to cool it. This is different.
That's also cool about new architectures. You have to find everything out again.
Absolutely, yeah.
How does it work? Because if you know 13th generation Intel and you're going to overclock a 14th generation, you basically know how it works.
Same.
How it works. It's kind of.
So this is totally new, and it has a lot of new features for overclocking. So yeah, let's hope.
And back to the drawing board for overclockers as well to find out what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, and maybe some of these things we will talk more detailed. But yeah, I mean, when we show TopPC slides are really technical about clocking domains and how they all.
We can try to simplify things a little bit and
maybe
make it more accessible.
Memory, Mike.
Yeah, so basically this is a little bit confusing because it says up to DDR5 6400, but that's specifically CUDIM. CUDIM is like a special memory module, and it has the clock driver on the memory module as well, where usually you would find that on the motherboard. It's kind of the transition we saw.
If you're going to talk CUDIM, we can do a giveaway and then I switch to this slide.
While you do the drawing, I'll continue my story. So basically, when we transitioned from DDR4 to DDR5, we already saw the PMIC, so that's basically the power regulator of the memory module, being moved from the motherboard to the memory module. But now with CUDIM also...
I have a slide for that.
Oh, you have a slide for this?
Preparation, Mike.
Ah. So where is your slide? No one can see your slide.
Yeah, I need to do the lucky draw. Okay.
Oh, that's a nice slide. But yeah, here you see up to 9600 mega transfers per second. So that is not the official supported speed by Intel, but already some memory vendors announced memory modules that go way beyond the officially supported frequency by
soon Intel. 10K will be breached.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time. And indeed what
Perhaps
Mike said,
you can already do that on these with a little bit of
yeah. So what Mike said, from DDR4 to DDR5 they moved the PMIC, that's on the top, that's this part, to the memory module. So basically the voltage regulator module, normally it was on the main board, and we had like on the high end 2 phase, on the normal boards 1 phase. Now this moved to DDR5 memory, and with CUDIM they also moved this clock driver to the DIM, to the CUDIM. Basically, you can reach higher clock speeds with this.
The advantage is, of course, when you move it to the memory module, is that you don't have any potential interference or a loss of signal quality by going through the memory slot. So you're already on the correct PCB, basically. Whereas if you have to do it over the motherboard to the memory module where the memory chips are, there of course you will always lose a bit of quality in the signal because of the slot. So basically CUDIM compared to regular UDIM modules should give you a little bit better performance because the signal quality will be better on the same PCB than it is through a DIM slot.
Okay, first winner today is Moorheim 1234. Congratulations, you win Star Wars Outlaws.
Are you sure it's 1234 and not 1234?
It could also be 1234.
That's also possible.
Yeah. Or 1200 is something.
So the person who won, let us know in chat how we should read this. But congratulations, you won
it was
a game
probably
for Star Wars Outlaws. So please keep an eye out on your mailbox. We'll email the code to you in the coming days with some instructions on how to redeem it. Congrats! And if you have already participated, no need to do anything anymore because you will be automatically enrolled in the next drawings. If you still haven't participated yet, make sure to do so and follow the link in the chat. That our bot drops there every 5 minutes.
Yeah, so basically that's why you see here UDIM, CUDIM, SODIM and also CSODIM. So basically that's SODIM is for mobile and CSODIM is, I don't know what it is, probably the same as CUDIM. But
mobile as in notebook and small PCs, not as in mobile phone mobile. But
No. Yeah, so dual channel ECC support, I mean the rest is all the same. And the clock speeds of course always depend on the BIOS firmware. So later we will talk also a little bit about MSI. I think this is a recap.
Yeah, it's basically an overview of the platform.
Yeah, so basically they say 30% faster in multi-threaded. 70% cooler, 165 watt.
Degrees cooler.
Oh, so again, degrees indeed.
Celsius, not Fahrenheit.
No, 165 watt lower system power of up to. Tricky.
Yeah, important one. Up to.
And the 36 stops, but I mean that's also including the GPU and the MPU. Basically the MPU is 13 tops, so not qualified for Microsoft Copilot Plus.
Yeah.
I think that's it, Mike.
Yeah.
Sales and
I see a date.
we see a date. So sales and pre-order starts on October 24th. So that also means...
That sounds like a very good day to do a live stream, Eric.
Yeah. Maybe that Thursday.
Let's do a Thursday again.
At 5 o'clock.
Now first I want to see if how we like it this Thursday, and if this is a good Thursday, then we do another Thursday.
This is in 2 weeks' time, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, okay. We have pricing, Mike.
Yeah.
We have pricing, CPU pricing. So basically the Ultra 9 285K is on par with the 4900K, $589.
And of course this is MSRP. By now prices have of course changed since launch for the 14th generation.
I'm talking about launch price indeed.
So we're comparing to the generation of the 14th gen Intel Core processor.
Then the Core Ultra 7 265K is $394, and that's like $20, $15 lower.
A little bit lower.
Yeah, I think $15 lower than the original MSRP of the 14700K.
What I also notice is that the difference between the K and the KF seems to be a little bit smaller.
It's $20. What was it?
I think it was
here it's $10.
Yeah, but I think it used to be slightly more.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, I'm not going to talk about these F CPUs, although they can be interesting. Then the Ultra 5 245K, which compares to the i5
14600K.
13600, yeah?
Yeah.
309.
Yeah, because it's okay.
$309. What was the 14600K?
Oh, I think
20?
slightly higher as well. I think the
20.
KF is kind of comparable, and that one is slightly higher.
I think 320 or something at launch.
I would say on average, the MSRPs are slightly lower than the 14th generation.
So everybody's helping. We also mentioned. Small specs. You check them later. Oh.
Are you wearing your lenses?
Yeah.
Okay.
My lens.
Single. Single.
Yeah. They also announced a mobile platform, which means Ultra H and HX series. That's for notebooks. Q1 2025. So I assume they will probably be announced at CES. Second week of January. Oh, the small letters. We're going to skip this. Let me double check. Yeah, all small. Cannot read them. Okay, Mike. So we're going to start here. And let's quickly go through some slides.
Let's quickly repeat this because this is an important thing. New platform, new CPU, new motherboard, not cross-compatible with each other. So if you have an LGA 1700 motherboard, you cannot use the new Core Ultra 200 series CPUs. And also vice versa. With these new motherboards, you cannot use like a 14th or 13th or 12th generation CPU.
So CPUs are not compatible, CPU coolers are. However, it's important to notice that the hotspot of the Ultra 9 and let's say the Arrow Lake S or the new Ultra 200 series, 200S series, it's in a different location. Yeah. So if you want the best optimal cooling, of course, you also need a special cooler for that.
This basically has to do with what you showed earlier with how the CPU is structured and where the tiles are located physically on the CPU. And that gives you a certain hotspot.
Yeah, indeed. And so for a new, I still call it new, but the Core Liquid I think 1 month, 2 months ago you did a live stream for that?
Yeah, something like that.
Indeed, yeah. So we will have a bracket, and this bracket changes it's called the offset kit, so it changes the location of the hotspot.
K-switch camera.
Oh, you have one?
I'm holding it.
Oh, come.
I have one.
They didn't send me one.
No, they didn't, but they did send me one. So this is what it looks like, and basically it's a bracket. You just click it on your water block. Wait, I actually have one of those right there. One moment.
Oh yeah. So actually you didn't clean up after your live stream. It's still here.
Of course.
It's a white one.
Let's see how this works, because I actually
it's a white one, so that's how I recognize Mike didn't clean.
I haven't tried this yet because this is with the uni bracket. So I'm actually also curious how this works, because I think you have to take the uni bracket off. Depends if this comes off easily. Let me see. So I think you need to pull this. Yeah, I need your help. Can you take this off? Don't break it. Don't break it.
So
And I think then it has a QR code with a user manual. Do you already need it?
No. It will be like this.
He's gonna break the liquid cooler. Or the table. Place your bets, Jeff.
Our video editor was not happy I scratched already the new surface.
No, of course not, because now he has to edit it out of all the videos.
No,
I'm gonna open the user manual for you, Eric. I scanned the QR code on the packaging.
Maybe this is
And then you get a nice PowerPoint file, actually. Don't drop the radiator. Okay.
step
So,
one.
It shows the uni bracket and the
Yeah.
offset kit.
It's quite sturdy. Should it not be attached
shows-
to it?
No,
Should you remove that?
no, I think you have to remove it. This is actually a great user manual. It only shows.
It doesn't show anything. Anyway,
Yeah, let's fix this
we will
before.
figure this out.
Yeah. Because this should replace the uni bracket, I'm pretty sure about it.
Are you sure? I mean, if you put this on...
Yeah, because you basically have to take that position.
Yeah. Does it fit? Does it even fit?
Yeah, if you can slide it over, but then the uni bracket needs to be out.
Yeah. Okay, well, we will see for next time. Mike,
I'm gonna
never,
fight with this.
never demo things you didn't try before.
No, but I'm also curious.
Don't slice your hands.
Oh, that's true. But basically, the uni bracket has to come off.
I'm sure they will say
should
something.
replace
Oh,
it.
you have an early sample. It doesn't support the uni bracket yet.
Very possible.
It's very possible. Yeah.
By the way, and that's interesting to mention here, the offset kit will be available for free when you get one of those Core Liquid I series.
Yeah, we need to feedback them on the SOP because this is
Yeah.
like a joke.
Yeah, it should be a little bit more straightforward. But later on, if you purchase a Core Liquid I series, you can get one of these for free.
Yeah, and it will also be, probably in the future there will be a running change that you can use directly on the new Ultra CPUs. And yeah, well, as you can see here, we're talking about 3% better cooling performance. So it's something. But
It can help, yeah.
Yeah, it can help. You're talking about like 49 of 94 watts to, what is it, 88 or something, or 89.
But it can also help with noise levels.
Oh yeah, indeed. Okay, then something new. Intel.
Clay Plays X is asking, is this live? No, we
No.
pre-recorded this.
No, this
Not
was
live.
yesterday
Yeah,
or tomorrow.
or the week before.
Yeah, old content.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Intel also uses a new ILM. Basically, it's an integrated lever mechanism for the CPU bracket. Basically, you remember what RL is?
Oh,
Something loading, right?
Wait, let me look this up
Yeah.
so I get this correct.
Reduced
Yeah.
reduced loading.
No, I don't think it was loading.
Reduced something. Maybe we have it here.
What was the official?
I think reduced loading.
Here it comes. Reduced load.
Yeah. Oh, reduced load. Okay.
Yeah. So
Now-
the whole name is Reduced Load Independent Loading Mechanism.
Independent
RL.
load lever mechanism, ILM.
It's just load. It's a lever.
Anyway, doesn't matter. This will, basically it reduces the.
The RL, so it's not Rocket League, but reduced load.
Basically, it's to improve cooling. So Intel not only improved the CPU, but of course also the socket and the package. And this will help, let's say 2 degrees on average. I already saw somebody claiming 3 degrees. We will never know because it's very difficult to test this with a socket which doesn't have this. So here you see the old leverage, mechanism, and on the right the new one. So basically,
Exploded view.
yeah, you see here they put a isolator in it, between it, and this is how you can recognize it. And it might mean this is also LJ1851, so it might mean that there was a running change before the launch. But I don't think the old one will hit the market.
I also don't think. I think all of these.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me check all my samples with RL, with RL, with RL, with RL.
Yeah, so probably the old ones don't hit the market. So
at least I don't have any models with RL.
Also for the loading plate, which you use to lock the CPU, it used to have a small 2-degree curvature. That one is reduced. If you reduce 2 degree, it's 0, right? That's not reducing, that's removing.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's 1 point something. Anyway, we will never know.
Basically, what it should do, make a better connection with the cooler, give you better cooling performance.
I was
Quick
told
summary.
today we also will launch our Infinite X3 AI PC. Hey, AI. Alan, still here? Yeah, Alan, I see him in the chat.
The perfect PC for you. AI.
Yeah, indeed. Did we already preview this? No, I don't think so. But,
Not this one, no.
that was NDA,
No.
indeed. So we will have a live stream in the future. I don't know when, probably later this year. But this, of course, comes with a lot of tops because it doesn't not only have the Core Ultra processor. This is probably i7 or i9, depending on the configuration. Did I say I? No.
Yeah. Core Ultra.
Core Ultra 7 or Core
This is something
Ultra.
to get used to after all those years.
Indeed, yeah.
Like 14 or 15 years of Core i.
This comes with a 360 millimeter liquid cooling. Let me see what else. DDR5 memory, Mystic Light, all the stuff is there. And I think this is animated. Okay. We already talked a little bit about this before. So basically you have an AI PC and this is the industry. I'm not sure who is that.
Hey Alan, that's a lot of AI.
Yeah, they're going to claim that. So you will see in the stores more AI PCs, and basically it means that they have a 10 plus top MPU. And Arrow Lake S, this platform, the Ultra 200S series are qualified for that. So that will be branded as AI PC. Then you will have the Copilot Plus PCs. Not sure if they're going to be named like that, but basically they're referring to a 40 plus tops MPU, and this means you can run Copilot Plus. And then of course Nvidia, they also want to do something with the AI game. So with their GPUs, they're claiming. You also see the new logo. Probably already saw it somewhere. It's the Powering Advanced AI. GeForce RTX, and then you're talking about a lot of tops because it really depends on GPU. You have even cars with 1.3K or like let's say 1300 tops.
Yeah, graphics cards in general are just very good at these kind of workloads.
All parallel processes. So that's about the AI story. Let's talk about our assortment.
What are motherboards?
Yeah. I'm just going to put them all on the screen or not? No, okay, maybe you.
Yeah. I think most of you will by now be familiar with our segmentation. So for gaming, we have 3 different segmentation levels. So we have MEG, it's enthusiast level, then we have MPG, performance level, MAG, arsenal level, whereas MEG is the highest.
It's a heavy one.
It is heavy, but it's like with a backplate and everything. So MEG, of course, the high-end segment is where you will find, and this is a model that we won't talk
Not
too
damaged
much.
yet.
Not yet, but you're holding it. But this is the segment where you will find, for example, our Unify board that we have right here, unify-x, our Ace motherboard, and our Godlike. Today we don't have our Godlike motherboard just yet.
No, in 2 weeks' time we will have.
Yeah.
Or we should have.
And then we will also talk about that model in detail. But in the MEG segment for now, why are you making fingerprints on my shiny new motherboard? This is our Ace. So one of the MEG models, here the Unify-x, which was very nice and shiny, and now there is like a big Eric. You see that fingerprint? It's horrible. What did you have for lunch, hamburger?
I shake hands with you.
Do you know, I licked my hand before I did. So I hope you like the design. We'll talk, hey, look at this. Oh, that special feature. Oh. That's cool, isn't it?
Oh, that's the green screen.
That's the green screen, indeed. So that's the MEG segment. Then within our MPG segment, so it's the performance series. We actually have 3 models at launch. So that's Carbon. I saw that one. Have to be. You cannot touch this one because we still have to record a video with this. So you're not allowed to touch this specific.
Can
model.
I?
No, don't touch it. The other ones you can. This one you can. And then we have two edge models: the Z890 HTI Wi-Fi and the Z890 I HTI Wi-Fi. We don't have here right now, but also in 2 weeks' time we hope to have that model in, and that's the mini-itx model. The ATX we also don't have yet, but we will talk about it a little bit today.
We'll have tomorrow, right?
No, I think no. I think somewhere next week it should come in.
Okay.
But the cool thing about those is white PCBs, something a lot of people in the chat have been asking.
Yeah.
Then our MAG segment, we have one model right now, and that is the MAG Z890 Tomahawk Wi-Fi.
The green screen,
and the green
is
screen
saying no.
Looks very interesting here.
Can we do it? No, also not.
No, that also has a green screen.
Yeah.
So it has some of the...
Mobile.
Wait, let me boot that up first. That people can see what it actually looks like.
I think that doesn't have a green screen.
No, it doesn't have a
Hey,
key
smart thinking. You're welcome.
But let me wake it up first. Okay.
One moment. Oh, there we are.
So this is what it actually looks like, and that's also the color.
Can you zoom out a little bit?
Yeah.
The whole board. Yeah. Thank you.
That's Tomahawk. Then our Pro series. And we have several models here, but at launch we will have two models available, and that's the Pro Z890-A and the Pro Z890-P Wi-Fi. This is the -A model. And the differences with the -A and -P you will usually find right here. So for example, here you will find some more Ender2 shield frozzer, all those kind of things, some of the more fancy features. -P will be a little bit more affordable model.
I see somebody with a Japanese or Chinese name, sorry, difficult, that should be Japanese, right? Will new motherboard have new BIOS? Yes.
Yes,
we will. Later we will show you the new BIOS. We cannot show it live because of the NDA. LNL also says only 4 boards for AMD. Well, you know, at start, yes, but more will be coming. Don't worry.
And it's the same thing here. So this is the.
But for Intel, we always have a wider range.
Yeah.
Also, the price range is wider.
Yeah. But yeah, for both of them, you can expect more models in the future. I also see someone asking micro-atx for Z890, not at this point.
Normally
but,
not.
Maybe later.
Yeah, normally Intel will launch some other chipsets, some more entry-level chipsets in the future, and then you will see. I'm not claiming they will be. That's normally they do this.
Okay. Oh, Intel is calling.
So when they do.
Mm-hmm. If they do, you mean?
Yeah. When they do, if they do, if they do, yeah, if they do this, then you will see also more micro-atx motherboards, I assume. Good, huh?
That could be the case.
That could be the case, indeed. Okay, let's continue, Mike. So we already did our X870 live stream.
The question is, pricing still under NDA? No, we will talk about that as well later.
Later. So a lot of things are basically the same like AMD. So maybe, Mike, otherwise we're here still 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, so basically we have Ultra Power and Ultra Power Plus. It's about the VRM design. And all these motherboards have a very strong VRM. Even the most entry-level boards already have a very strong VRM. And
maybe
can
explain
run.
Ultra Power and Ultra Power Plus, because then I go to
maybe go to Ultra Power Plus then, because then you can see the added benefit, because that one has OC engine, and that's an external clock generator that you will find on our MEG models, but I believe in this generation also on our Carbon model, for example. It's basically moved one segment up in terms of VRM, and also has an OC. Here you can also see the Carbon is in blue because of the Ultra Power Plus. And the cool thing about the OC engine is you can fiddle around with base clock frequency, so also with a non-K skew CPU, you can still do a little bit of overclocking, underclocking, those kind of things. If you want to know more information about this, we also had this in previous generations, so there you can view back how it works.
And again, VRMs are overspec'd as always.
Yeah, and especially because the VRM did not get weaker in this generation, but the CPU should consume less power.
Yeah.
So that's basically it makes the VRM a little bit more overkill. Yeah. But yeah, as you can see, a lot of the boards have an extremely strong VRM, 110 amp power stages in the Ultra Power Plus boards, but also the regular Ultra Power boards have a lot of power stages for all of them.
Yes, 2B Killa is also asking on YouTube, will there be a Project Zero board? Yes, we will also, both for AMD and Intel, we will have Project Zero boards. New ones indeed. I would say maybe CES. I don't know when we will show them off, but that's normally it works like this.
Yeah, but yes, you can expect, definitely can expect
Thunderbolt
more
4,
Zero.
yes, we're going to talk about it. Thunderbolt 5, we will also highlight that. Okay, Mike.
Yeah, continue.
We just talked about this,
so we're going to skip this. Memory design, of course, important topic. SMT soldering, like you know from previous generation as well. This is basically something we introduced with DDR5, because DDR5 needs better signal quality and SMD soldering. Are you destroying it?
No. I was trying to find a board. They all have backplates.
No, just the MEG models.
Yeah, maybe.
No, that one you cannot touch.
show the backside.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's okay. So here you don't see any pins, and that's because of the SMT soldering process. And SMT soldering gives a better signal quality. That's why this is done on DDR5 memory slots, but also on PCI Express Gen 5 slots. Also has reinforced memory slots. It's a little bit difficult to see because it's not like the whole slot is kind of silver outlined.
Maybe with a mobile phone, Mike.
No, you can show it in close-up. So here, for example, you see that basically all metal. These are still also reinforced slot, but the reinforcement is basically here in the middle parts. Of course, there is not as much weight on memory modules as there is on graphics cards, especially nowadays with the huge high-end ones. But these are still reinforced slots.
So, question in the chat: does unify-x have thermal pads below the DDR5 slots? There is a backplate on it, so I cannot see it. But I would say
wouldn't really require
I mean,
it. No, that's not the. Oh, it's behind the DDR. I don't think there is like actually.
Yeah, not.
Nah, they're not really thermal pads.
We will remove it one time.
Yeah, but also the heat generation is not really behind the memory slot.
No.
So it wouldn't really make sense. There is like some kind of padding that you don't get any interference issues.
Yeah.
So you can see like two pads.
The PMIC and the memory chips, they are getting hot, and that's on top.
Look, there is a hole there.
Oh, it's green. It's
yeah,
PS2.
it's green.
Yeah.
It's PS2 connector.
Yeah.
And then people, of course, will be wondering, why do you have PS2 connectors in 2024 on a motherboard? That has to do with overclocking, because this board is specifically designed for overclocking purposes. And of course, also CU DIMM support. We already talked about that, so let's continue.
If you look at the Z890 boards regarding clock speeds, memory, I think most of them can do 9,400, I would say.
Yeah, this is still under testing.
So
you know,
this will change each week.
Yeah, I think for now, for the 4 DIMM boards, our official frequency is like, I think 9,200. But this can still change, still testing.
No, it's already, I saw...
already increased?
9,400.
It is even higher on the 2 DIMM board, so maybe you can go to the next one, because unify-x, 2 DIMMs, basically you have a single DIMM per channel, because you have 2 memory channels. That will give you better signal quality. It also allows you to reach higher memory speeds. That's also why if you see any overclocking records, you will usually see them on 2 DIMM boards and not on 4 DIMM boards. That also means that basically the certification for these boards is also higher. So I believe it's now 9600 for the unify-x, but this is also something that may increase over time with new BIOS updates, with new memory modules. It's always dependent on basically the weakest link in everything. So it can be the memory controller in the CPU, it can be the motherboard, it can be a memory module, etc. PS2 ports more reliable at extreme temperatures. Yeah, basically sometimes with extreme temperatures and extreme overclocking, basically the USB signal drops.
Yes.
And then you can still control things with PS2.
Yeah, so USB signal can fail, but PS2 will not fail. And of course you want that ultimate screenshot of you hitting that top speed.
I think basically how it works is that PS2 forces the signal to the computer, whereas for USB, it basically calls every time for something. But that makes for extreme overclock, it makes PS2 a little bit more reliable. Yeah, Ultra Engine, this has to do with performance presets, for example, one-click CPU overclock. Of course, you can still manually adjust everything, but you also have a very easy button available for it. The performance presets have to do with, they're basically like preset power limits that you can choose from. And there you have Intel recommended settings, you have MSI optimized settings, all those kind of things. Then there is support for both XMP and Expo. XMP is for Intel, Expo is basically the AMD equivalent. If you have a memory kit made for AMD basically, so with an Expo profile, you can still use it on these Intel boards and still select that Expo profile.
I see outer space and then the Chinese or Japanese name. Just post your name so we know how to pronounce it.
Are you sure it's not Korean?
No, it is not Korean. No.
Yeah, very sure?
No, I'm not sure. But I don't think it's Korean. Anyway, yeah, they're asking, will you do a live stream for with CUDIM? We don't have CUDIM here in our office on hand. So
not at this point.
Not at this point, so we need to check. And will the
QVL
QVL saying which CUDIMs to buy for X? You know, I don't know, but that's what I assume because Top, you see, our in-house overclocking, he's a memory freak and they're testing so many memory DIMMs. And then, yeah, this is his board, unify-x. So
I would expect later as well that those memory modules will also pop up.
Yeah,
in QVL.
indeed, yeah. And I saw the CUDIM. I saw several brands launching it, but what was it? I think Gal launched
not really
it.
launching, most just announcing.
Announcing, yeah. So it also becomes time before
during
that will hit the
we
market.
saw a couple of them.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's it's still very early stage for CUDIM, but that's something that will probably be more common in the future. And yeah, we'll try to arrange something for that as well, to maybe do it in a live stream or include it in a live stream.
Jojo73 King, better we don't talk about VJ today because we have so much other topics to talk about, otherwise we will not finish and Mike needs to hit his bed early.
Yeah, indeed. Memory Try-It, you may already be familiar with from our previous generation. So basically it tries out your memory to see what it can do. Memory extension mode is basically optimizing the sub-timings of your memory modules, and in certain games that can give you quite a bit of free performance basically by selecting this. This is also something that you will find on AMD boards with a different name. Here you see the performance presets, so you see Intel Default, Intel Extreme settings, so they kind of separated it.
Yeah, I think this generation is something new because with the 13 and 14 gen, of course, Intel had their fair share of problems with those CPUs. Basically, I don't want to say burning down, but
like degradation.
Being damaged indeed. They just released the latest patch, I think last week somewhere. So that all should now be fixed. If it's damaged, it's damaged. You know, you need to RMA your CPU.
Yeah.
But with the new, latest BIOS updates, it should not happen anymore. Because of that, because in the past we were running whatever we wanted, you know, as a vendor like MSI. Yeah. Because of that, Intel now is also forcing us to have the Intel default settings at default. So we all have the other settings. You can select them, but you need to select them yourself by default. So I believe the reviews for mainboards will also be a more equal level playing field. Because in the past, you know, everybody was running
because everyone is now using the same settings basically.
Yeah. And you know, this was also a challenge for editors, for media, because, you know, how to test the mainboard. Should they all have the same profile? No, because it's what you buy. But and also having like an extreme setup, it's maybe nice because you get fast performance, but also you get higher power consumption. So
it's in Chinese, by the way.
Oh, Chinese, okay. Zhao. Okay.
But it's pronounced like Joe, right? Like the Formula 1 driver, Guan Yu Zhou.
Oh, whoa. It can also be. Okay. Maybe it's.
But correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so this is one of the big changes this generation. Don't worry. I mean, you can still do all the settings you want.
You can still do the unlimited setting, etc. But now indeed you have to select it. But it is available.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, let's talk about Frozr design.
Yeah. So of course. Sneak peek.
We removed as much godlike content today as possible because we don't have the board, so we'll talk in 2 weeks about it.
Yeah. We'll give you all the details.
Yeah, but sneak peek.
And this, of course, has to do with all the cooling, and not only the cooling on the motherboard, but also how it works together with the liquid coolers. And you can, of course, control them both through the MSI Center software. Cooling depends per model what is available on the exact board. So some of the boards have extended heatsink. Exception of this is the Pro model that we have right here. Can you switch maybe to the close-up cam? So extended heatsink basically stretches the heatsink all the way over the I/O here, and that gives you a larger surface area for better heat dissipation from the VRM. For other boards, we also have heat pipes. So this is an example. Let me, a little bit more difficult to see, but this is the carbon, for example. So as you can already see, a lot beefier heatsink, but also here underneath you see a heat pipe. The same is the case for the other high-end models that we have, like Ace and Unify. They also have heat pipes. This one still has a solid heatsink, but when I grab Ace, for example, you also see the fin stack heatsink with the wavy fins in this situation. And the fin stack heatsink also increases, again, the surface area, which results in better heat dissipation. Yeah. So that's the one.
I love that board.
Yeah, I think it is a very nice board.
Is this you?
By the way, as some of you may have already noticed, Ace is no longer an extended ATX motherboard. It is a regular ATX motherboard. So compatible with more cases, because of course not every...
Probably because Intel integrated Thunderbolt.
Yeah, that must be the specific reason. Now I think not everyone wants to have an extended ATX case, and some people still want to have a very high-end motherboard. Yeah. So I think Ace became a little bit too big, because it kind of came close to godlike, and not everyone wants an extended ATX case. They're just big, heavy. If you want to drag your PC along to LAN parties or whatever, or to friends, but you still want to have a very high-end motherboard, then no, that is possible. I forgot
to remove godlike from this slide.
Oh, so you're spoiling everything.
Okay.
But yeah, here you see the different heat pipe designs. So that's available on all the MEG and MPG models. So in this case, Edge Carbon are MPG, Unify-x and Godlike are MEG. And the two-shield frozzer, nowadays you'll find on all different models. There's still some differences, because the Pro models, for example, only have single-sided M.2 shield frozzer. The gaming models at least have one dual-sided M.2 shield frozzer. And let me quickly show you what that looks like. So let me grab our Tomahawk motherboard.
Maybe with the mobile cam, not better?
No, this works fine. As you can see, there is also a heatsink underneath the SSD. So if you have a double-sided SSD, in this case, this one is not, so you don't see any memory chips here. But if you have a double-sided SSD, is this one?
No.
Yeah, this is one. This one has its own heatsink. But as you can see on the bottom, there are also memory chips. That's usually the case with the bigger SSDs. So if you have 2 terabyte SSDs, or maybe even 4 terabyte SSDs, they tend to have chips on the back of the PCB as well. And by having double-sided M.2 shield frozzer, they will also be cooled on both sides. And that gives quite a bit better cooling performance on the SSDs, and of course that results in basically better heat dissipation and
less throttling.
Less throttling if you load them for extended periods of time. Like in regular usage, SSDs won't throttle that fast, but of course if you load them for a longer period of time, then it will definitely help if you have cooling like this.
Yeah, extended heatsink we already talked about. Mike, maybe you can still show that?
Yeah, extended heatsink is where it stretches all the way over the I/O. Yeah. And that's also the case on the Tomahawk motherboard, for example.
So we have these kind of overviews, but yeah, we're going to skip them. I mean, all this information is on our MSI.com product page. Indeed. Frozzer sink.
So there are different PWM headers on the motherboard, and also different headers provide different number of amps, basically, and that's how powerful that header is. So a regular system fan header can go up to 1 amp, for example. The CPU fan header can go up to 2 amp. And then there is the combo fan pump system fan. That's the white one here. Let me see, there you see 2 headers, and the one on top goes up to 3 amp. This is especially interesting if you basically want to use a lot of fans on a single header. So that's also why the CPU fan can
Daisy
deliver 2
chained
amps.
fans.
Can be daisy chained, but can also be, if you use a fan splitter, you can also
Yeah.
use a lot of fans of a single header.
Yeah.
And also like modern CPU coolers very often nowadays have, the all-in-one coolers have 3 fans. And usually you will connect them to a single header on your motherboard. So you have a splitter cable, you connect all the 3 fans to the splitter cable, and a single 4-pin PWM you will plug into the CPU header on the motherboard.
Good night, Alan.
Good night, good night.
Alan is Australia, New Zealand.
I'm not sure.
Should be somewhere there.
But Alan, don't have any nightmares about AI.
Yeah.
But have a good night. We hope to see you again, well, next week, but definitely in 2 weeks again. And we will
Australia.
demonstrate some performance as well. So yeah, that's the story about the headers basically. So the more fans you want to connect, then the more attention you want to pay to which header you connect it to.
So let's talk a little bit about connectivity. So all these boards, they have Wi-Fi 7. Yeah, Mike, you're going to show the I/O panel?
Yeah, of ACE, because for example this one, it has a single LAN port, but this is a 10 gigabit LAN port. Then we also have our Carbon. This is a slightly different model, because this one has 2 LAN ports, but in this case one is a 5 gigabit LAN port and the other one is a 2.5 gigabit LAN port. The other models that we have right here are all have a single LAN port and all 5 gigabit LAN ports. So that's it for the LAN connectivity.
And that is the overview.
Yeah.
So you get an idea.
Yeah. Here you also see that on the gaming models, with the exception of the ACE, they all have the Intel 5G LAN controller. The Carbon has an additional Intel 2.5 gig LAN controller, and the Pro models have a Realtek controller. The 10 gigabit LAN in the ACE is, by the way, it's nowadays Marvel, but it's like the same Aquantia chip that we know from previous generations as well. Yeah.
Wi-Fi 7. So basically faster, especially with the 320 megahertz channel size, and that's important. Because if Wi-Fi 7, there are a lot of different variants.
Wi-Fi 7 is not always
Wi-Fi 7.
Yeah, that's a confusing one, because like in terms of feature set, it is always Wi-Fi 7, but the speed can be different.
Yes.
So you can have Wi-Fi 7 in terms of feature set, but with the speeds that are equal to like Wi-Fi 6E, and you can have Wi-Fi 7 that is way faster. And for all our motherboards, so that includes the Pro models, for example, we use this 320 megahertz bandwidth. So that's like the faster Wi-Fi 7 solution. Do keep in mind, though, that also on the other hand, if you want to use that bandwidth, your other device needs to support it as well. So your wireless router or mesh kit or whatever you use, or access point. But if both can support it, then you can take advantage of those very high Wi-Fi speeds.
Yeah, so Wi-Fi 7 also supports something called MLO, multi-link operation. And basically in the last generation it was either the 2.4 or the 5 gigahertz. And now...
Or 6.
Sorry,
with
or 6 indeed, with 6E. But now you can combine them at the same moment. This feature is only available from Windows, which was the Windows 24 H2 update, which was launched on the 1st of October, I think, or the 2nd?
Yeah,
last week. Yeah. So if you already have Wi-Fi 7, you will now benefit from MLO.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the part Mike said, not all are the same.
Yeah.
And you will see that also in the market. So there will be quite a confusing period, I believe.
I also expect that, for example, more entry-level models in the future will also offer the more affordable Wi-Fi 7 chip. But that one supports lower speeds basically, because it's up to 160 megahertz bandwidth. But all these boards in our Z890 range that we have here right now support the 320 megahertz.
Yeah, indeed. Intel Killer Double Shot Pro, we already talked about it. They acquired
This is kind of like multi-link operation by stacking speeds, but then combining Wi-Fi and LAN.
Yeah. Once we have a live demo, in 2 weeks' time, we are allowed to do it. Then we can also talk about show this software, how it's working, what it's doing.
I think the cool thing about this is that you can also have certain things running over your Wi-Fi. So maybe you want to listen to music in the background while gaming, and you have Spotify or whatever streaming service on. You can have that running on your Wi-Fi, whereas your LAN is, for example, dedicated to your gaming. So I think that's it's pretty cool. But yeah, let's fiddle around with this a bit in the future, see how it works.
Yeah. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, we already talked about that.
Thunderbolt 4. So we already talked about that. Thunderbolt is integrated in the chipset, but of course it's still a choice if we implement it, because the ports add money and need space. So here you see that all our boards from Pro-A have 4 Thunderbolt.
Two.
Dual.
Yeah. 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports.
Yeah, dual Thunderbolt 4 ports, and the Dash P only has a single port.
But still offers Thunderbolt 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it is possible that there are boards, or there will be boards on the market, which don't have Thunderbolt 4. So it's not a given. But yeah, Thunderbolt 4, I mean, you get power delivery, you get DisplayPort over Type-C. Yeah, very interesting port, and now it becomes more mainstream. So you will have, I think
keep in mind though that to have that DisplayPort signal running over this, you need an integrated graphics.
Yeah, iGPU.
Yeah. So if you have the FSQ processor, then that will not work.
ML2. Not that much change compared to last generation. I think it's also not possible.
But yeah, basically over the past generations, it already increased so much and filled up all the PCB space.
Yeah. You see Ace, for example, you have 5 ML2 slots. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So we increased in the Dash A and the Dash P, so they now get also Gen 5 slot. But the number of slots...
Godlike will have something special, but more about that later.
Yeah. In 2 weeks' time, we talk about Godlike.
Yeah. PCI Express Gen 5, so this is available on all motherboards, and you will have 20 lanes in total on these boards. So you will have 16 lanes for your graphics card, and you have an additional 4 lanes for your M.2 SSD. Another improvement we made is on the PCI Express slot. They now feature Steel Armor 2, and compared to the first generation Steel Armor, it's 121% stronger. So yeah, can basically handle larger, heavier graphics cards.
Davina is interested in the power draw of 10 gig Ethernet. Well, normally the power draw is in the switches, and they also tend to get very hot. That's why I think most of them have active cooling. But you're right. I mean, each generation this improves.
I actually don't know how much the LAN controller, the Aquantia in this case, or Marvel,
I also don't know.
Consumes exactly. That's a good question. That's something we can maybe dive into in the future.
Maybe we can measure that.
And also, I'm also, now that we talk about this anyway, I also get additionally curious, how will it compare if you run 1 gigabit on that controller, or 5 gigabit on that controller, or 10 gigabit on that controller?
Yeah, indeed.
Because it can be that it draws more power, but when you run it at 1 gigabit, it may be more energy efficient than another 1 gigabit controller.
I don't think so, but it is possible.
Yeah, I have no idea. I've never tested it. So that's a very good question, actually.
Yeah. I assume there will be room for those M.2 PCI Express 5 heatsinks. Yes, you can leave out the MSI heatsinks if you want to have the heatsink which comes with the M.2 SSD. I also saw recently, I think Phison released a new controller which is consuming less power, so it doesn't get that hot, which also means it doesn't need a big heatsink. So Mike is demoing it.
Basically what you can do is, if you take the heatsink off, you can install an SSD with a heatsink. Yeah. So if you have one of those bigger SSDs, the Gen 5 that have like a very tall heatsink, they can just go up there. So you can definitely do that. Keep in mind though that for certain slots they are covered by a single heatsink. So let me quickly grab Ace. So here, if you have the top one, that's basically covering a single slot. So if you take it off, then you can place your SSD here, and of course that can be a very high one. If you do the same thing on one of the lower slots, Get this. Those are covered underneath this bigger part. So if you install one here, first of all, you'll probably get issues with your graphics card.
Absolutely.
And second of all, if you have a very high one here with a separate heatsink, you cannot install this back on your motherboard. So if you want to use one of those, I would suggest put them in the top slot because it's located.
That's also the Gen 5 slot.
Yeah, that's also the Gen 5 slot. Yeah. But still, you also have, this is for example a Gen 4 SSD with a separate heatsink. For this, I would suggest if you have one of these and you want to use it in addition to a Gen 5 SSD, then take the heatsink off, put it in one of these. Yeah. If you're not using a Gen 5 SSD next to it, then of course you can just take this heatsink off, put it in there, and use it as is. But yeah, definitely possible.
I don't know, should we do another giveaway?
Yeah, I think it's time for another giveaway. So if you haven't participated yet, go to msi.com. So that doesn't work anymore. This is like my standard talk that I always do with the giveaway.
You need to change it.
I'm going to change my talk. If you haven't participated yet, make sure you are on YouTube or Twitch, because there a bot will put it in the chat once every 5 minutes. If you're watching on X or TikTok, make sure you get your ass over to YouTube or Twitch to click that link and participate in the Gleam giveaway. Within Gleam, you can perform certain actions. The more actions you perform, the bigger chance you have to win. And if you're already signed up today, no need to do anything again. You will automatically be included in the next drawings. And then I think we have our next winner for a game code of Star Wars Outlaws.
So the next winner is Chatty.
Congratulations, you also won a game code for Star Wars Outlaws.
I see on X, Namita, that's Twitter, right? Namita is complaining about our support with the mainboard. In India, so sorry, that's far away. I cannot help you, but I think 3 visits to the service center. I assume you're already with customer support in contact. Otherwise, send an email to support@msi.com. They can help you.
But yeah, for us it's indeed very difficult to respond to individual cases around the world.
Yeah, and I agree with you. This is unacceptable indeed. So maybe ask them your money back. Mike, we are going to continue.
You may be familiar with ATX 3.1 and PCI Express 5.1 ready from our power supplies, because this is the modern graphics cards can draw a lot of power and also for a short period of time, and that's why there are increased power excursion, basically what they can offer on these power supplies. But we have a similar thing on our motherboard. So if you have like a brief peak of power draw, then it can handle this. For these motherboards, it also means that there is an additional power connector, and that is the gray connector right here at the bottom. This is just a regular 6+2 pin PEG connector. So this is the same connector you know from graphics cards. So nowadays a lot of high-end graphics cards especially use the 12+4 pin. This is just the regular 6+2 pin, and basically every power supply will provide you with one of these connectors. If you connect this, then your board can basically deliver more power. Here you see a bit of an overview. So you always get power to your motherboard over the 24-pin ATX connector, but now it can additionally draw power over that 6+2 pin PEG connector. And basically that gives your motherboard more juice in case you want to connect a ton of things to it. So if you want to use high demanding graphics cards, but also indeed a lot of RGB, the different fans. You will probably have to connect a lot of them to to exceed it, but still you can increase it in case it's necessary.
PD, power delivery. As you can see on the right side of the table, the MEG board supports power delivery up to 60 watts. When you want to use this, Mike, you also need to connect the extra power connector over there.
So this is, for example, the ACE, and here you see a separate 6-pin power connector. Again, it's a PEG connector, so the one you know from graphics.
And this is not the one at the bottom, because that's the gray one. Other one.
It also has this one that we just talked about, but additionally, it has 6-pin. So basically, if you have the 8-pin PEG power connector, you take the 2 pins apart. You can always take that, separate that off the whole connector and plug it in here. If you connect this, that will allow up to 60 watt power delivery over the front USB Type-C header. if you choose not to connect this, you still have power delivery available on the board, but then it will be limited to 27 watts.
Yeah, and 27 watt is also what the other boards offer, so they don't have this extra power connector.
Yeah, and this is also marked on the motherboard itself. So if we have a look at the PCB, there you see a small marking, 27
Battery.
watts.
Yeah.
That's for that USB Type-C front header. And here you also see that there is no additional 6-pin power connector present.
So, good question from NRT. So, could you in a sense run a 4060 with no cable directly to the card? Well, actually, that's not possible because the card itself decides where it draws power. And normally it takes part of the power of the connector.
Modern graphics cards take almost everything from the connector. Yeah.
And part, of course, from the PCI Express slot on the main board.
And you still have the limits that PCI Express provides. So, like officially, that's like up to 66 watts, spec-wise up to 75 watts. But this 4060 will go beyond that. So you always need a separate card.
I think AMD a few years back, maybe many years back.
Yeah, that was Polaris. That was RX 480. That one drew too much power from the PCI
More than
Express
75 watts.
Yeah, I think somewhere 80 something.
Yeah, and then the firmware update, that fixed it.
Of course, you still have tolerances, so it wasn't a direct issue. But that was indeed the RX 480 and I believe 470, the Polaris ones. So it's already a while back, but those indeed drew too much power. Good memory, Aaron.
No, I'm old. Old and not a good memory. That's why you remember it's Polaris.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I just remember the issue.
Yeah. Is Godlike ready? Almost. In 2 weeks we will talk in detail about that one.
I think Godlike is already with photos on our website.
Yeah.
But in 2 weeks' time we have a sampler and we're going to not only show you, but we're going to benchmark it. But not me. I'm not allowed to touch it?
No, probably not.
Okay. Maybe Ruud and Mike.
Yeah, that should be. That sounds like a better, safer idea.
Ruud's already for like weeks and months testing these new platforms and sending feedback to HQ or headquarters about, hey, can we change this? What about this? Yeah. Always like that.
Skeet says Polaris was great for crossfire support. That's true. That was back in the day when game publishers also still included multi-GPU support in games. Nowadays, that's a bit tricky.
So we already talked about DDR5 memory with DDR boost, the SMT soldering, so you don't cut your fingers open on the back of the motherboard. The reinforced slots, and we also highlighted our PCI Express Gen 5 PCI slots where you put in the VGA. So that's also SMT soldering. Now we have something new, Mike. You have a GPU there, right?
Yes, I do. Are you gonna hold this one?
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
There we go.
I'm going to make people seasick.
So here we have our motherboard. We have multiple.
Oh, I like this board.
Yeah, as long as you don't touch the carbon, then it's fine.
Carbon?
Yeah, that's the one I still need to record a video with. So don't touch that one.
This one is heavy.
This is like, you don't have to go to the gym tonight because you lifted all these motherboards already.
This one is a beauty.
But one I want to show you is this button, and that's the Easy PCI Express Release button, or Easy PCIe button for short. You see a very small window in there, and as you can see now it's locked, I think.
Window 3.11?
Yeah. But there's a small lock in there, and as you can see right now it's locked, and when I press it, it unlocks.
Focus has an issue, yeah.
Yeah, and basically if you go a little bit towards there, this is where it does the magic, because this is what it actually locks and unlocks. So when I unlock it, I can put in a graphics card. So let me quickly grab one right here. I need to lift this a little bit because, of course, there are the
maybe put the carbon below it.
So now it is open and you can put it in. And when I then press this again, then it locks in place. And then, as you can see, it holds. Don't try this at home, by the way. Don't lift motherboards and graphics cards. Don't destroy my sample, Eric. But as you can see, it's quite sturdy. If you want to release it again, then press the button again.
Can I again do this?
Yeah. Now you can take it out. Yeah.
Okay. Without mainboard.
So that's basically how it works. This button you will see
Can we do
on a
this
lot
also
of
with
these
carbon?
models. No, we cannot do anything with carbon because that one needs to be very fancy and shiny for the video. There it is.
So I can also not
No, you cannot.
peel it?
No, not yet. All the demonstrations there with different motherboards, well, we can show carbon. But yeah, this is how the Easy PCI Express release button works. A lot of fancy animations.
They spend a lot of time on the animations. Maybe let's go over all of this.
Yeah. Oh, you locked it.
Yeah, of course.
Let me wake it up again. We are again. At least we should be. Yeah, there we go. Where do you want to start?
One finger.
One finger, okay.
One finger.
Should I take this one off? So basically, one finger. If you press this, then you can take.
That's
off.
cheating. I see 5 fingers.
Yeah, okay, to lift it off.
Yeah.
You want me to lift it off with one finger?
It says the slide says one finger.
Yeah, I think Slide's a bit over enthusiastic.
No. One finger. Show me.
Oh, I shouldn't. If I can get it in place. This is always difficult when it's bigger. Yeah. So this is how you slide it in place. And then you click it in.
Oh, one finger.
It should be.
Yeah, there was one finger.
Was a bit too much. One finger? No.
Yeah.
It's still not in place. Let me. Oh. This is the downside of having this much bigger. It's harder to find the teeth because basically those go in here. So this takes a little bit of practice to get this properly in. Am I in the right direction now? There we go. And then it clicks in.
So that's the 5 fingers?
Yeah. Now, the one finger, I'm gonna slide it now. Usually when it's in your case, it will go there.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it's hard to pick it up with one finger. I can lift it off with one finger, don't worry. Going back to that single finger, well, I need 2 fingers to hold the SSD, but...
Wow. This looks really nice. Push and lift. It doesn't say one finger.
Yeah, lift with one finger.
Okay.
This has also changed because this is the easy M.2 clip. And this used to be different. It used to be with a small latch that you drag over it. Now it's basically like a button. And yeah, that's the dual-sided M.2 shield frozzer area. If you put in the SSD now, there we go. You can just push it down and it automatically clicks into place. And if you release it again, you just drag it to the side. And then, yeah, I need 2 fingers to then pull the SSD upwards.
We need to ask them to change the slides.
Yeah.
2 fingers.
But that's how it works. So basically, very easily installed and also very easy to take out again. And no more tiny M.2 screws. And again, a little bit easier than in the first generation.
I think we need carbon.
No, we also have this on ACE.
Are you sure?
Because you want to talk about the easy magnetic M.2 shield frozzer.
Yeah.
So basically, again, here you can take it off. And the magnetic part is right here. So here you see some pins, and you also see them there. And basically what it does is it connects the RGB within this heatsink.
Can we power them on now?
Oh, I don't know where the connector is.
Is this allowed? Probably not, right?
Power the RGB on? Yes, we can.
Yeah?
If I can find the connector. Because I know our video editor...
Oh, better don't walk over there.
You made it into...
I will show people.
Yeah, there are some cables here.
Everything is safe here.
This is
Don't
what
worry.
Eric cable management looks like.
No.
No? That's actually a very good question where the adapter...
Leave it. We do in 2 weeks' time.
I think because our video guy also uses this while...
Oh, then it should be there.
I don't know where he left it though. But basically there is a header on the motherboard. It is actually right there. And we have a special cable for this. If we plug it into this, then the RGB on the motherboard will go on without booting the board. So you will see this illuminated, you will see this illuminated, etc. Want to have this back on? So let me reinstall this one. There we go. But yeah, the connector that you saw, the magnetic one, that one connects the RGB on the M.2 shield frozzer. What do you want to show, Eric? Oh, the buttons. This is dependent per model. So let's maybe start with the Pro board. Here you have a flash BIOS button. This one allows you to flash your BIOS without having a CPU installed or memory installed, graphics card installed. You do have to connect your power supply though. Then you connect a USB flash drive to the highlighted USB port right there. So it has a square around it. Press the flash BIOS button and then it will flash the BIOS from the file to your motherboard. So this is what you'll find on the Pro board. Then let me switch to Tomahawk, so slightly higher end board. There you will see two buttons because it has the flash BIOS button that we just talked about, but it also has a clear CMOS button next to it. But still relatively simplistic buttons. Then when we go higher end, so for example on our Carbon that we have right here, but also on our Ace, it's a similar thing.
Why can we not take Carbon?
Because you will damage it. But it's exactly the same on both boards because they have three buttons. As you can see, they look a little bit fancier. Here you have the flash BIOS button, there's the clear CMOS button, and there is an additional smart button. And this one you can configure in the BIOS. And you can, for example, configure it to serve as a reset button or to switch on or off your RGB on your motherboard or something like that. So that's a customizable button that you have on the back there.
Switch off the LED?
You can switch on and off the RGB light.
How would anybody do that?
For example, if you want to sleep and keep your PC on, you can switch it off. And if you need the extra FPS, you switch it back on.
Okay, that's. I'm just asking for a friend.
Is your PC not in your bedroom?
No. Then I wouldn't sleep. Let me see. Dual BIOS? Yeah. Difficult to see.
No, it's not difficult to see. Here you actually see multiple switches, and this one is the LED switch. So this one also just switches on or off all the RGB on the board. But there is a second dip switch right here, and that one switches the BIOS. So there are.
And the BIOS, dual BIOS.
Yeah, it has dual BIOS. This is on the higher models, by the way.
These two dual BIOS. Looks like it, right?
There are three chips, so I think these are.
Yeah, these two. Yeah, that's the BIOS.
Yeah. And this is on the MEG models, so you will also find this on Unify. And on Unify, I would say it's even more important because it's especially interesting when you're overclocking and you maybe have a faulty BIOS, you can just switch to the other one. Yeah, you also have power and reset buttons, so if you use this on a test bench, usually what we do is we use a screwdriver or scissors to interconnect pins. Don't try that at home. That's of course not recommended, so there are some easy buttons on this as well. Here you can also see some voltage readout points. Those can also be found on Ace actually. So if you want to do extreme overclocking, you have some voltage measurement points right there. So you can connect your multimeter to those points. And here you see the same thing on Ace. There they are.
Talk about the backside.
Yeah. Because this motherboard has a nice backplate, and the same goes for unify-x. There we go. And this is specifically something you will find on the higher end models. So when we have Tomahawk here, you will just see the back of the PCB.
Yeah.
All these boards also have integrated I/O shield, so also our Pro models nowadays have this. So no more separate shields included in the box. You can just easily put it in your system. No need for additional action. Then double ESD protection on the back and the keep out zones. So always make sure to properly install it there. And they are clearly highlighted on the PCB as well. It's maybe not the prettiest thing, but well,
useful.
It is useful, and it's also on the back of your motherboard. So when it's installed, of course, you will not see anything of it.
No.
Are you going to peel it? Where's the Ace box? Oh, there's the Ace box. Because let me quickly open this up because there's some accessories in there as well.
Should we not make room?
You can make some room.
Yeah, but I'm afraid I damaged the table then.
Oh, just drop this one and switch to the other camera. That's probably easy.
Yeah.
There we go.
I cannot lift this with one hand. Yeah, I can, but...
The antenna, because that also changed. Actually, two things changed compared to previous generation. Let me grab something metal.
My knee. I have a monitor here.
A side
okay.
panel.
Side panel.
Okay. This is now magnetic. In the previous generation, you can still do it, but you have like those screw mounts here. But now the base is magnetic, so this you just install in there. There you go. That's what the antenna looks like, and then you can just stick it to your PC case.
Or the ceiling?
If your ceiling is made out of metal, sure, go for it. If the cable is long
if you're in
enough.
jail.
Yeah, then it may work. I'm not sure if you're allowed to have a game PC in jail.
That's true. Or Wi-Fi.
Or Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Maybe show how they connect?
Yeah, another change. You may remember the old screwy things that you used to have for the antenna. Nowadays, you can just basically plug them in like that. That's it.
And? Easy get loose or what?
No, you have to pull them, you see, quite firmly to get them out.
Okay, nice.
So that's the Easy antenna.
I love this board.
Easy antenna is available on all the Z890 models. The exact type of antenna you get with the different motherboards does differ though. I think I have a Tomahawk box here. Let's see if I have the other antenna as well. Because that one looks slightly different.
Non-magnetic, right?
No, that's also magnetic, but it's just a different type of antenna. So this is what comes with the Tomahawk. Let me quickly unpack this one. So as you can see, it's a little bit more simplistic antenna. It is still one of the
Easy plug?
Easy plug. You can just put it in again, but it doesn't have like the more extensive base that the higher end antenna has. But it is still magnetic. Why did I leave my side panel? Oh, I already put it away. Let me get my side panel back. So back to the side panel. It's also magnetic. So those are the antennas in the Z890 motherboard generation. I made a mess with all the boxes and accessories.
I know. Okay, let's talk about EasyCon design.
Yeah. I also need a cable for that. Let me quickly get rid of this and get back to the accessory box.
Put that one over there. And this one.
Throwing all the antennas around.
No, the table is
the
not
table
magnetic.
is not magnetic.
This was, what was this? Ace?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This one can go.
Okay.
And then let's continue to the EasyCon design. And that is this cable with 3 connectors. So basically you have one combined connector right here. This goes into your motherboard. And then you have these 3 coming out of it. Let me take the caps off. This is a 4-pin PWM header. So just like the fan headers on your motherboard. This is a USB header, USB 2.0. And this is a 3-pin addressable RGB header, so the 5-volt one. If you, for example, connect a liquid cooler that needs all 3 of these connectors, you can just connect them all to this cable, and you need a single one on your motherboard. So this is very convenient for cable management. There are different versions of the EasyConnect design, and this is, for example, the one from Ace. Yeah, maybe you can quickly show this slide. Yeah. So there is like a first generation JF1 connector and the second generation JF2 connector. As you can see, the JF2 connector is slightly bigger. So I have it on Ace here as well. And on this specific board, it is located right next to that 6-pin that we just talked about. That is where you connect this cable. And the JF2 supports the RGB, the 4-pin PWM fan header and the USB, and the JF1 excludes the USB. This means that for JF1 you can still connect like a more basic liquid cooler or interconnectable fans or anything like that. But for the JF2 you can also connect one of the fancier liquid coolers that, for example, have a screen on the CPU block, because that screen actually needs the USB 2.0 connection. So that way, still the very fancy liquid coolers can be connected to your motherboard using a single cable for everything. So that's what it looks like.
The front.
Yeah, let
Panel
me
cable.
quickly grab that one as well.
In the past we had a small block.
Yeah.
Now we have a cable.
Yeah,
More
but basically
easy.
it does the same thing. So this is for all your front panel connections. So the power button, the reset button, power LED, HDD LED. You know that all those connectors can be very tricky to install when you have a lot of other stuff in your PC case and maybe a graphics card even blocking it. So now you can just connect everything into this cable, and you only pull this part to the front and connect it to your motherboard. So again, makes cable management a lot easier. And it also means that,
and not only cable management. I mean, it's a nightmare always to find the right
yeah,
pin.
it's hard to reach.
Not with a screwdriver, it's just
Yeah, that's how you do it. Yeah,
until it boots up.
yeah. Or until you see smoke or fire,
I sometimes feel like I'm torturing somebody, like going over it.
stabbing it.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about having a cable instead of a block is also that you can have all the connection part behind your motherboard tray and just pull the plug to the front.
Oh.
So that makes it a bit nicer for cable management as well. Easy debugging.
Yeah, we skipped dynamic dashboard 3. That's for Godlike.
That's
we
for
will
Godlike
talk about
indeed.
it in 2 weeks' time.
But more of our boards now have the digi-debug LED. So
Need the
that's
phone?
no, I can show you.
Yeah, it's small.
No, that's just not that small. It's very doable. See? There it is.
That one,
Yeah, that one.
but the small ones.
Small one I can also show because it's right next to here. And there are also the easy debug LEDs, the
Focus.
separate one. Hello, camera, focus. So this is where if you have an issue, you can locate if it's your CPU or your memory or your VGA. And the digi one, so with the small screen with the number on
this
it.
more clear.
Yeah, probably is. That you will find on the gaming models, but not on the Pro. Or no, the Pro Dash A actually also has it, but Pro Dash P I believe does not.
But no, indeed.
Yeah. So yeah, more models nowadays have the fancier
Troubleshooting
debugging.
Yeah, nice.
The nice thing about having a number is also that you can get like an error code on there. So if there is any specific issue, you can pinpoint what it is exactly instead of just knowing it's a memory issue. But you can also see what kind of specific memory issue it is. Then on the MEG series, there is also the Easy Memory Detection LED, and that one basically also shows you if there is an error with a specific memory module. So let me quickly grab unify-x. Let me see where these are located because I just got these in actually. Have you already found them?
Yeah.
I think they're in this top corner.
Yeah.
And Ace should also have them.
I think.
Yeah, I think here on top. They're
Okay.
very, very
Yeah.
tiny. So basically, it's in between. Yeah, it's
Nah,
very
you
hard
cannot
to
see that.
But there are like 4 LEDs, and basically, when there is an issue, you can see it light up for which specific slot the error is there. But it's a very tiny LED in between. But once it
think
lights up, then
That's the LED
should be
over
fine.
there.
Yeah, indeed, it's
Very small.
yeah, it is very small, but when it lights up, you can see it. On the PCB, we also have additional printing that basically shows where the PCI Express lanes come from, but also which interface it can support. So this is, for example, ACE. I will show you on. It is, of course, difficult to read here, but we will show that on the slide again. But here I can, for example, see that on the M.2 slot, the lanes come from the CPU, and it can support PCI Express, but it cannot support SATA. So
Yeah, normally you need
yeah.
manual for this, but now it's quite easy.
yeah, and you just cover it using the M.2 shield frozzer, so it also doesn't look very ugly. But at least you have the indication available on the motherboard. Let me put this the right way around, it's easier. Yeah, the headers we already talked about, but they're also color-coded. So
Paul
you
Gale
can
is
see
saying
which
the
is
motherboard has the toughest job in the PC. They have to play nice with whatever brand you use on it. Which
that's
is
kind
true.
of true, yeah. Yeah, the headers we talked about. So basically, if you want to connect a lot of stuff and you need a powerful header, use the gray, white. Yeah, it says gray, but it's almost white.
Yeah.
It's the bright header on the motherboard. And the USB speed you can recognize by the colors. So when I grab a motherboard, you see different colors. So the blue ones are 5 gigabit per second port. The red ones are 10 gigabit per second ports. Certain models also still have USB 2.0. Those are black.
Type-Cs can be up to 20.
Yeah, but
40.
there is a little indication here. So these are Thunderbolt, so you see the Thunderbolt logo. This is a regular USB Type-C port, but there you can, it's maybe a little bit hard to see, but it indicates there that it's a 10 gigabit per second port. So you still know the speed of the specific USB Type-C port. This is for the BIOS, so if you want to enable XMP or Expo, it's just one very easy click in the BIOS. So also if you don't have any experience with memory overclocking or anything like that, but you still want to get that additional performance from the memory profile, just enable it, that's it.
Motherboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, new ClickBIOS X. So basically we switched to the ESA architecture, which is like a architecture, but also a graphical library. So this also has an impact on the look and feel of the board. So basically we defined 5 themes, one for MAG, one for MPG, MAG, the Pro boards, and then the gaming boards. Do you know a gaming board? Yeah, Gaming Plus. Yeah, that's
the simplistic gaming boards.
Indeed. So there are a lot of more graphical elements. We cannot show these boards running at this moment, so we cannot show you the BIOS live. But in 2 weeks' time, for sure, we will do a lot of new options as well.
Yeah, and I think that will take a little bit longer. But I'm also planning on in the future to do like a dedicated live stream about this ClickBIOS X. To maybe we can invite Ruud to show all the ins and outs, where can you find everything, how does everything work, and of course we will also be very thankful if you have some feedback or anything, because this, of course, we just launched this. It is not perfect just yet. We're always open for improvement. So this is basically continuously in development, like our previous BIOS, ClickBIOS 5. We've had, for how long did we have ClickBIOS 5? For a long time. I think like
very long time.
10 years or something at least.
I still, I'm old and I still remember we had the first UEFI BIOS.
But yeah, like ClickBIOS 5 in the very beginning looked very different from what it looked like at the end.
It's always an evolving story.
Yeah, even though it was both ClickBIOS 5.
This is user feedback, but also what kind of new hardware there is, or what kind of things we can, like, memory try it, things what we can make easier.
But also ClickBIOS X or 10, whatever you want to call it, it will evolve over time.
RGB!
Yeah, Mystic Light. Yeah. This
speaks for itself.
Yeah, and of course compatible with the ARGB Gen 2.
Pricing.
Yes.
I just took a screenshot.
I would say MSRP is maybe not the correct word here. It's more like a price indication because different resellers can define their own pricing. Of course, taxes are different in various regions.
Exchange rates. Like
of course.
UK or non-EU countries.
You did already include Godlike in this one, and mini-itx.
I did?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I just took a screenshot and I put everything in there.
But this is a price indication of the different motherboards in euro, including 20% VAT. And again, 20% is like a bit like an average throughout Europe.
You have 27, I think, in Sweden or something?
Sweden is 25.
Oh, 25.
Here in the Netherlands, it's 21, for example. Germany is 19. Yeah. But like with 20%, this is approximately the price indication. And then the US dollar pricing is excluding VAT. And as you can see, it ranges all the way from around $250 to basically $1,000 higher. So big differences, also of course in terms of feature set. Keep in mind that these are all based on high-end chipset.
Check with your local reseller for the pricing, and then these prices will move. There will be more boards on the market. There will be more demand. This is a matter of time. This is always at launch, so I'm sure some of you will say, "Whoa, $250." It's a matter of time before they will go down, or there will be cheaper models as well.
Yeah, and of course this is still only high-end chipset. And as Eric mentioned, maybe, just maybe, there will be more affordable alternatives in the future.
Let's talk case. I want to do this with the camera. It looks way better.
What do you want to do with the camera?
You talk specs and I will talk model.
With this camera?
No.
What do you want to do?
With the mobile phone.
Oh, with the mobile phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it? Oh, we're upside down.
Oh, sorry.
You're making the chat sick. So the MEG Z890 Ace.
Can I put it so like
Yeah,
this
yeah,
on
No, not on the carbon. Don't do it.
maybe we put a GPU below it?
What do you want a GPU? What do you...
It's like this.
Oh, as a holder, then you damage the GPU. That's Peter's sample, so I'm not going to let you do that. You want to angle it, you mean?
Yeah, a little bit. It's nothing.
Okay, there we go. With a nice pink thing. As mentioned before, this is now an ATX motherboard, whereas in the previous generation it used to be an extended ATX motherboard. It is still an extremely high-end motherboard. You can also see that in the cooling. It has a fin-stack heatsink. Underneath you will find 24 110 amp smart power stages specifically for the CPU. So it's a very extreme power design. It has an 8-layer PCB. It supports the Ultra Power Plus VRM design, so it also includes the external clock generator. You should film here because it has a very extensive I/O actually.
I want to turn the board, but
You can just turn the camera towards it. So as you can see, it's very full. I will mention some of it. It has a 10 gigabit LAN port. So it's a Quantia chip.
Light in my...
No, it is. It's a big studio light shining into the
Yeah.
camera.
So this is a bad idea. Maybe you turn around.
Hey, you wanted to angle it in this direction. Hello. There we go.
That's way better.
Yeah. So 10 gigabit LAN port here. It has Wi-Fi 7. We've just shown you the antenna. It has a whole bunch of USBs, and as you can see, none of them are blue.
Maroc wants a new PC. Yeah, please put your address in the chat. We will ship you one.
Yeah, we always send
Yeah,
random PCs everywhere.
So busy during the week. Always shipping those free PCs.
Always shipping those free PCs. As you can see, there are no blue USB ports. That means that there are no 5 gigabit per second USB ports here, because all of the Type A ports are 10 gigabit per second. Then you will have this Type C port right here, and that one right there are also 10 gigabit per second Type C ports, and the additional 2 Type C ports here are Thunderbolt ports, so those can go up to 40 gigabit per second. Then there is HDMI port. This one with the square is for the flash BIOS button, and that's basically the I/O. By the way, you have 2 analog, 1 input, 1 output, and there is a digital SPDIF or Toslink, whatever you want to call it, a digital audio connector as well. That's Ace.
Massive attack. Huge problems at his side. Is the giveaway ended? Not sure.
Shouldn't be.
Let me check.
And by the way, before I forget, it has a backplate all over the back of the motherboard.
I'm not only going to check, I'm also going to do giveaway.
That's a good idea. If you switch to the close-up camera, then I can still talk a little bit about this.
Oh, yeah, you still have more to...
Yeah, because it has a nice big backplate. There is one cutout here, of course, that has to do with the CPU area. If you need to place a backplate for your CPU cooler, then you need to be able to access it. But the rest is all covered by the backplate.
Giveaway didn't end yet, but it's about ends in 2 hours, it says. I don't believe that.
We will end it sooner.
What did we do? 7:30, right?
7:30.
Yeah, it's now 7:15, and I think it ends in 15 minutes.
Yeah, it says ends in 13 minutes. It says on your left. There.
Oh yeah. So the giveaway is still running.
Yeah.
Let me paste the. Do I have a chat? Yeah. No. Oh, I already closed the chat.
While you do that, let's continue to our next model, which is Unify.
This is the link for the giveaway if you still want to participate. Next winner is... Sorry, Mike.
Who's your next winner?
No, I don't know yet. I need to click on draw. It's AI nowadays. Lucky draw, no. The next winner is Jay. Jay, congrats.
Jay, congrats. I'm just quickly cleaning your fingerprints off there.
Are they still on there?
Yes, of course.
Cool. So the giveaway is still running. We go to this one.
Yeah, can you go back to the overview?
Oh, I thought you knew everything.
I do, but maybe you can show it to the viewers as well. Because I've seen this model, but they haven't. Yeah, so if you... There you go. So here you see a quick overview. I will hand you the camera.
Oh, that's
and then
right.
we will go over the board as well.
Oh, okay.
So here you see the feature set, but let's...
This is like an overclocking model, right?
Yeah, this is mostly, of course, you can use it for different purposes, but this is mostly targeted at overclocking, and that's all. Yeah, there we go. And that's, for example, why you find these PS2 connectors here to connect a mouse and a keyboard. But when we go back to the back, Another major overclocking feature is the fact that this one has 2 memory DIMM slots. So for memory overclocking, this will be far superior compared to any 4 DIMM slots.
I need to have a gimbal.
Yeah, you do, because you're a very shaky person. This one also very powerful VRM. In this case, 20 power stages specifically for the CPU, 110 amp smart power stages. It has a big heatsink with dual heat pipe. Is it possible to see? Yeah. Underneath. And here you can already see that this one also has a very big backplate under here.
This one is shiny.
Yeah, it is. It's like a mirror kind of finish, and there is a little bit of RGB in here as well. This is an 8-layer PCB. Yeah, I was also surprised by this because Unify did
RGB and Unify?
I think for extra FPS and overclocking.
Oh.
Yeah, for me, Unify didn't need to have
should
RGB.
not have RGB.
No, for me, it shouldn't. But you can switch it off, luckily.
The switch is over there.
I think that's a BIOS switch, isn't it?
Is it? Oh yeah, it looks like a BIOS switch. Anyway, there is for sure there is a switch.
Well, you can use the smart button to set as an LED switch, so you can definitely switch it off if you want to. Other than that, here you'll find M.2, there you'll find M.2, and more M.2 underneath here. So all of them are covered by M.2 shield frozzer, and all can be taken off without any tools.
Moesteen is asking what this is doing.
This is an additional 8-pin power connector, so it's a 6+2 PEG connector basically. And that will provide additional power to your motherboard in case the 24-pin ATX connector is not enough anymore. So if you use a lot of add-in cards and a lot of fans and a lot of RGB, and you need a lot of power, then you have an additional power connector for it. Here you have the voltage readouts, a lot of debugging, so the Digi one and the LED. Also has the memory, we talked about it before. The easy PCIe release button. Let's maybe take a look at the I/O, because we already talked about the PS2 connectors, but it has a whole bunch of other connectors as well. Here's single LAN. It's a 5.
People think I'm shaking, but you are shaking.
No, I'm very solid. Audio connectors, 2 analogs and a digital. Wi-Fi 7. 5 gigabit LAN. This is based on an Intel controller. You see how shocking you are?
This is bandwidth.
Oh, it's the bandwidth.
We have a bandwidth issue.
Oh, I think it's an Eric issue. Here you have the buttons. So smart button, the clear CMOS button, and the flash BIOS button. A cluster of 6 USB 10 gigabit per second Type A ports, 2 additional ones there. 2 Thunderbolt ports right here, and then there are 2 additional 10 gigabit per second Type C ports on its left and its right. That's the Unify.
Next one.
Yes. And
God,
you can definitely not touch.
We didn't see this one yet.
Not as much, but let's go into it. We're going to switch some boards around. So Carbon is actually also a very high-end board, also in terms of VRM, because like the Unify-X, this one also has 20 smart power stages, 110 amps specifically for the CPU. It also has an 8-layer PCB.
Can we peel it?
No, not yet.
Why not?
Because video.
So Mike is recording together with Robin, our video editor.
Later on you will see this
CEO
specific
maybe.
model on our YouTube, on our Instagram,
Okay.
on our other socials. That will be this
So
board.
that's why I can't come close, because he's afraid
Because I know you, yeah.
I'm damaging it, scratching it.
I know you will if you touch
But
it.
this one looks so nice with the RGB.
It does really look nice with RGB. You will see that in the video, Eric. Yeah, as you can see, a lot of M.2 slots as well. All of them can be are covered by M.2 shield frozzer that can be taken off without any tools. Easy debugging right here. As you can see, you don't have the voltage readouts here. So it's still a high-end board, but it's not as much targeted at overclocking as the Unify is, for example. This one also has 4 DIMM slots. The 8-pin power connector again on the bottom. Let's head over to the I/O, because I think that's where this board definitely shines. It has 2 LAN connectors, so both of them are Intel. One is 5 gigabit per second, the other is 2.5 gigabit per second. It has Intel Wi-Fi 7. Again, you get the optical audio output as well as 2 analog, 1 audio input, 1 audio output. The 3 buttons that we talked about before. 10 USB Type-A ports, 4 USB Type-C ports, or no, 3 USB Type-C ports, of which 2 are Thunderbolt ports and the other is 10 gigabit per second port, and there is an additional HDMI output.
We have Lion Lawrence asking for a monitor. Why it's not on stock? Sorry, I really don't know. Which
Best to
market?
check with, Best to check with your reseller, because we don't have detailed information for every single region. Your reseller should be able to provide you with a better answer. The next model we don't have here right now, but we can already talk about it a bit. It's the MPG Z890 HTI Wi-Fi, and as you can see, the big difference with the previous generation is that it now has a white PCB. White PCBs used to be a little bit tricky in terms of signal quality, but nowadays they are good enough to get the signal quality that we need for very high frequency DDR5 PCI Express Gen 5. It also offers an 8-layer PCB, so that's still equal to the other models that we talked about before. It has 16 19 amp smart power stages specifically for the CPU. This one is only ultra power, so not ultra power plus. So no external clock generated for this one. For that you need to go carbon or higher. In terms of cooling, still very extensive cooling. No backplate on this specific model, but you do still get M.2 shield frozzer on every single M.2 slot. You get 5 gigabit LAN. You get Wi-Fi 7. Very rich AO in general. Yeah, that's basically it about the HTI Wi-Fi.
Then we have an ITX one, but
that one we will talk about in 2 weeks, like the Godlike. So we're going to continue with our Tomahawk. So let me quickly grab this model, because that one we have. You have a menu open over your slide.
Do I?
No, you do. I thought you wanted to print something, or I don't know.
You send everything to the printer.
So, like the HTI that we just talked about, this one also has 16 smart power stages, 90 amps specifically for the CPU. One difference, however, is that this board is a 6-layer PCB motherboard, whereas the other models that we talked about were all 8-layer PCBs. Again, you get M.2 shield frozzer on all of them, but only the primary one is double-sided M.2 shield frozzer. So if I take it off, you can see it right there. Easy PCI Express release button. This is very difficult with one.
I really need to get a gimbal for this.
Yeah, you do. Here you get the debugging, both with the digicode and the LED. Then let's move over to the I/O. Here you can see a bit of a difference with the previous ones. This is a little bit more simplistic, not as many connectors as the other ones. It is, of course, a slightly more affordable motherboard than the other ones. And here you can, for example, also see some 5 gigabit per second ports, the blue ones, whereas the higher end models had a lot of red, so those are 10 gigabit per second ports. These are the Thunderbolt ports. This is a USB Type-C 10 gigabit per second. You have flash BIOS button, clear CMOS, HDMI on this side, Wi-Fi 7, and Intel 5 gigabit LAN, as well as 2 analogs and Toslink audio connectors. So that's the Z890 Tomahawk Wi-Fi. Then we head over to our Pro series, starting off with our -A model, so the Pro Z890-A Wi-Fi.
Question.
Yeah.
Somebody is a SteelSeries fan, and somebody else has a question. Does the mobile have SteelSeries integration like many of your past mainboards had?
We've had SteelSeries integration on many products, but not specifically motherboards.
No, that's mainly notebooks indeed.
And monitors.
Yeah, and monitors indeed, yeah. Some of the high-end MEG monitors indeed. But these monitors, they don't have that indeed.
Oh, we got rated by SteelSeries. Thanks, SteelSeries. And welcome everyone coming over from SteelSeries. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. But yeah, definitely we have some SteelSeries integration on some of our motherboards, for example. So we have a light bar where that is controlled.
And all the notebooks are also using SteelSeries keyboards.
Yeah, for sure. Let's head over to our Pro Z890-A Wi-Fi. And
I'm doing my
your fancy camera work without actually selecting the camera. So basically this is the higher end Pro board, so to say. So still very powerful VRM design, and again it's 16 smart power stages, 90 amps specifically for the CPU. This is also a 6-layer PCB, so like the Tomahawk. It also has the easy PCI Express release button for memory DIMM slots. the digi debugging as well as the debug LEDs. So on the dash P you will not find this, on the dash A you will. Here you see that not all M.2 slots have M.2 shield processors, so this one doesn't, for example. This one does, and here you have 2 additional ones. And also only the primary one you can take off without any tools. Here you have regular screws. So yeah, that's the front of the motherboard. Let's head over to the I/O. So you get 4 5 gigabit per second USB type A ports. Here you have 3 10 gigabit per second type A ports, as well as a 10 gigabit per second type C port, 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports, HDMI connector, and the flash BIOS button right here.
Hold a little bit lower, please.
Oh,
yeah, like this. Yeah, thanks.
Wi-Fi 7, 5 gigabit LAN. In this case, it is Realtek LAN. So on the gaming models, you will find Intel. On this, you will find Realtek LAN. You get 2 analog audio connectors and a digital Toslink or SPDIF output. And this is the Pro Z890-A Wi-Fi. Then let's head over to our dash P model. That one we don't have right here, but as you can see in terms of look and feel, it's quite similar to the dash A. But as you can also see, there is only M.2 shield processor for the primary M.2 slot. So, for example, the dash A also has cooling on the 2 bottom slots. This one does not. Also, the VRM is a little bit more modest. It has 14 times 55 amp Dr. MOS. So still, I would say this is fine to run any CPU on, but overclocking a Core Ultra 9, then you will probably want to be looking at different models.
Yeah, indeed, you should not expect it from these models. Of course, you can overclock, but
it is still a Z-series chipset,
yeah, indeed.
But there is also a difference between overclocking a mid-range CPU and overclocking a high-end CPU.
If you really want to overclock, then really better have something like this. Like these kind of boards, they have a stronger VRM, you can mount bigger coolers, etc. They have more features
also
in the BIOS.
depends on how extreme you want to go.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
If you want to do a slight overclock, then it will usually be fine. Do you want to do more extreme overclocking of high-end processors, then...
The problem at this moment is that we still don't know how the overclock... We don't know. We are not allowed to talk about the overclock performance of the new Intel
But also much
Ultra
still
200.
needs to be figured out by the overclockers.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And that's the nice thing on this new generation from Intel Arrow Lake S. This is the first generation. Probably, we don't know, but probably, we're not allowed to tell. Probably in the coming years they will build on this generation, on this new architecture. And, each generation new things will be added and the overclockers will find out things. We will be adding more features to these motherboards in order to get more out of them. And yeah, I mean, it's still, I mean, they spend a lot of time, as you can saw in the Intel slides we showed you before, on overclocking, all the fine-tuning and all the tools for that. The real question is, how much can they overclock these new CPUs?
What can overclockers get out of them?
Yeah, indeed, indeed. So in 2 weeks' time, we can maybe also overclock. At least we're going to benchmark the CPUs. We're going to show the performance.
Maybe Ruud can already do some testing and see what
indeed. We're going to show you also what's inside the BIOS and all those features. Let me see, Mike, because I think that's it for this week. We can maybe show you still the movie. Is that possible?
No, that will be very complicated now. Because that is in the introduction scene, so that won't
Not
work.
if I push this button.
No, it won't work, I think.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Anyway, it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter.
I think the video should be live very soon, so people will be able to see it.
Indeed,
on
indeed,
YouTube.
indeed. Yeah.
Then, next week, and that will be on our regular slot again. So again, on Wednesday and 1 hour earlier than we went live today. And we will talk about one of our new desktops. For the people who have been watching our Gamescom live stream, you may have already seen a sneak peek of this model. And it's a MAG Infinite E1. And I think this is a very nice it's model if you're getting into PC gaming.
Yeah, and you don't know how to build a PC.
Yeah. Maybe you've been using like a console in the past and you want to try out PC gaming. Yeah. Enjoy some very nice high FPS, which is of course not possible on the console.
Then what is it then? After that, it's you. No, not me.
After that, on the
Thursday.
24th, we just saw on the Intel slide.
24th, we will be back again, and then we're
Again
going
on
to
a
talk-
Thursday.
Yeah, main boards. Again, 1700 CEST, yes.
Yeah, so same time as today.
And
but
then Ruud
2
will
weeks
be
time.
here, Mike will be here, and we will be
Benchmarking, demonstrating. We will show you the godlike, all the ins and outs. We will
mini-itx.
Mini-itx. We will talk about that in detail. Maybe a little bit of overclocking if Ruud has already tested with it.
Godlike indeed, white PCB, we will have that as well.
Yeah, that one we can also show you then. There's
Yeah.
actually 2 white PCB models coming, the ATX and the mini-itx.
But mini-itx we are not getting, right?
Yes,
Also.
I'm trying to.
Oh, you're
Of
trying
course,
to.
it's mini-itx.
Yeah.
So hopefully also mini-itx. But definitely godlike and definitely the ATX HTI Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So that's for in 2 weeks time. And after that, we'll see by then.
I know what's coming up.
Me too, and it's a
Yeah.
cool topic.
Yeah. But that's for later. That's for later.
We cannot talk about that just yet.
Yeah.
But for now, thank you so much for joining us today,
Thank you
for
all.
watching today. Can we do one last winner before
Oh yeah, sure,
we close it off?
Yeah. Your phone is getting hot.
Yeah, should I disable the
Yeah, better.
camera thingy?
Okay, last winner for today.
For a game code of Star Wars Outlaws.
I'm going to do 2.
Okay, sure.
I'm going to do 2.
I'm glad that you're sending them out.
Oh yeah. Am I?
Yeah, you are. Now you are.
Okay, next winner is Electric Yoshi.
Congratulations.
And the last winner for today is Dr. Kiri. Congrats
to you
you
too.
both. You will get Star Wars Outlaws, and if you find out how you finish level 1, let me know, because I'm still stuck in there somewhere. We should have a part 2 of my live stream. Figuring out this game.
Struggling with Star Wars.
Yeah, indeed.
And if you haven't received your code by Wednesday, make sure to be in the chat and complain to Eric.
Okay, thank you.
This is how you get your viewers, right? Just people complaining.
Thank
like
you all.
every
Bye bye.
Sunday.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye bye.
Oh my God.